Welcome back to episode 201 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. Hey, Troy. What's up?
Getting ready for the holiday.
Yeah, we're both heading out of town for the holidays. We're going opposite directions, north and south, right?
Yeah, I'm going south. You're going north.
Mm-hmm. You're going to be at like a parade. Are you going to run out in front of the fire like candy?
In front of the tractors or the horses or the cows, or yes, they will have people that they're riding lawnmowers through the parade. So this will be fantastic.
Going up to the lake. Nothing beats 4th of July at the lake in northern Minnesota, where I'm from. So very excited about that. Lots to get into today. We have two guests. Is this the first show we've ever had two guests on?
Maybe. I think so.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. So excited about that. And yeah, let's just get to it. But before we get started, a quick reminder that the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a Patreon podcast. Well, what does that mean? It means we rely on support of listeners and watchers like you to help us cover our show expenses, continue to produce more, and we hope better hockey card content, and then fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hobby. It's very easy to support us. You can join our out of $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. It starts at $5 a month. You also get exclusive access to our Discord server. Very easy to do. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page. Or you can go to Instagram, TikTok. There's a link in the profile there. And there's also a link in the description on the podcast apps and on YouTube there too.
Hey, Troy, get ready to smash that button bar. It's time for the Gong Show.
You surprised me with that one.
That was a surprise. I'm blowing our entire budget on fiber radio, guys, because I'm addicted. And I saw Troy earlier today. I want to get to the point where I make them say such weird things that they're like shaking their head,
like, wow,
while they're in the microphone. Do you like that one though?
I like that one. I like the throw into the button bar.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, you ready for the game plan?
On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 1. Then it's off to a new segment titled Confessions of a Card Dealer. And this will be chapter 1. Next is hobby news, followed by the return of Rookie Deep Dive. We are then joined by Billy Celio from Upper Deck to talk about 23-24 Extended Series, along with some other tidbits that Billy shares with us. We end the show with looking at some of our favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly Auction and any personal pickups. Okay, Josh. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so now we are looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 1 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is Jacques Plante. Boy, he's the runner-up. I was like, man, do I remember who was the greatest? But then I looked at the list. I'm like, all right, there's probably an argument to be made between these two guys. So in the article, Jacques Plante is the almost greatest to wear number 1. The other runners-up at number 1 were Roberto Luongo and Terry Sawchuk. So some pretty darn good runners-up. I think they're all in the Hall of Fame. I think Luongo's in the Hall of Fame and Sawchuk's in the Hall of Fame. But now we get into the craziness where we're in the low numbers. So all the runners-up are going to be pretty good. And maybe most of them, there's probably debates if they should be the greatest or not. Who knows? We'll see as we go along. As a reminder, the greatest player to wear number 1 was Johnny Bower. So let's look at Jacques Plante. And just to let everyone know, this little segment will not do justice to Plante's career. We could have a whole show on him, probably 2 hours long, about all the stuff he did and his innovation to the game of hockey. We'll mention some of them. But if you're interested about Plante, go just Google him. There's books about him. He's a fascinating player and absolute hockey icon. All right, so our boy Josh, he's a goalie. I'm going to call it Shawinigan Falls, Quebec, Canada. I'm not sure if that's right.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. There was no entry draft when Plante started his pro career. Plante was invited to the Montreal Canadiens training camp in 1948. Plante signed a contract with the Canadiens in August of 1949. Plante would then play with Montreal's affiliate, Royal Montreal Hockey Club. which also allowed him to practice with the Canadiens. In January of 1953, Plante was called up by the Canadiens. By the end of the 53-54 season, Plante was established in the NHL, getting regular playing time.
So he put in his time. He put in work.
Yeah, he put his time, but I kind of like this like Wild West free-for-all. You just go, you got to go find players and try to sign them and lure them. No draft. We're not making an orderly, designation.
Yeah, it wouldn't work today though, because whoever had the most money would just it'd be like college sports basically, which is how it is now, right?
Yeah, well, you could try to circumvent it with a cap and all that fun stuff, but then Vegas would just start Vegas would figure out a way to bury guys and get the cap loopholes like crazy. Okay, so our boy Plante played in 837 regular season NHL games over an 18-season NHL career. Played his first 11 seasons with the Canadiens, then played 2 seasons with the New York Rangers. This was followed by 2 seasons with St. Louis. Then it was a stint with the Maple Leafs, and Plante would end his NHL career at the Boston Bruins. After his NHL career, Plante would play 1 season in the WHA with the Edmonton Oilers.
Wow.
No idea. Like think of this guy and it's like Canadians all the way. I never realized he played for all these other teams. They weren't long stints or anything by any means, but it's pretty nuts. Awards and accomplishments, there's a bunch. Hall of Famer, 6-time Stanley Cup winner.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I didn't put this here. I want to say 4 or 5 of those were in a row, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember back to when we did the goalie Mount Rushmore, because I did a very minute little detail on him. So 1-time Hart Trophy winner, 7-time Vezina Trophy winner, 3-time NHL first All-Star team selection, 4-time NHL second All-Star team selection, 8-time NHL All-Star game selection. Also named to the NHL's greatest players list, or top 100 players all time by NHL.com. I believe that list was in 2017 that they came out with that. For his career, 437 wins, 9th all time, 246 losses, 145 ties, with a 2.38 goals against average, which is 23rd all time, and a .92 save percentage with 82 shutouts, which is 5th all time. Plante made the playoffs in 16 of his 18 NHL seasons, compiling 71 wins, which is 10th all time, 36 losses, with a 2.12 goals against average in the playoffs for 21st all time, .923 save percentage, and 14 shutouts, which is 7th all time, in 112 playoff games played. Best regular season of Plante's career from a stat standpoint, I'm going with this 1955-56 season, where Plante had a record of 42 wins, 12 losses, 10 ties, with a 1.86 goals against average, .931 save percentage, and 7 shutouts in 64 games played with Montreal.
Can I say something based on this photo here? It's a great photo of Jacques Plante, by the way. Beautiful photo. What do you think was going on in like the 40s, 50s, well, even 60s, where like you're looking at an NHL goalie here who's literally covered in protective gear except for his face?
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Isn't it kind of weird though that free will that? And have you ever thought, like, having played goalie and coaching goalies now for years, how nuts was it that these guys did?
Absolutely asinine that they didn't wear any kind of protection. But we're going to get into a little.
Okay,
we'll get into it because Plante was very instrumental in the whole wearing something on front of your face. So we'll get into that, and you'll see why once you hear what one of his coaches thought, why they probably didn't wear protection on the face for a while. Okay, so Plante, one of the greatest goalies to ever play the game, stand-up goalie who was a master at taking away the net with his positioning and coming out to challenge shooters. I think a lot of people forget in the old days, these goalies would come out 10 feet past the crease to take away angles. And it's kind of nuts when you watch video from back then. And just as important as Plante's playing accolades was his innovations to the game of hockey. Plante was one of the first goalies to wear a mask regularly. He was not the first to wear a mask, but he wore it regularly. He was the first one to do that. He is also regarded as the first goalie who regularly played the puck outside the crease, setting the puck up behind the net and also directing breakouts and passing the puck.
Do you think he got crap for wearing a mask?
Yes, and we'll get to it.
Okay.
In addition, Plant was very analytical and kept extensive notes on his opponents. So this guy seems like he's like 50 years ahead of his time. He's basically doing analytics before that even
nice.
before advanced analytics even becomes a thing in hockey. Plant retired from hockey in 1975 and moved to Switzerland while still remaining an analyst, advisor, and goaltending coach. Plant, unfortunately, has passed away from cancer in February of 1986. Okay, so now we're going to get into the fun facts. We're talking about that stuff I mentioned. So nicknames. I'm convinced Hockey Reference just makes stuff up. Jake the Snake. I mean,
He's a wrestler?
The wrestler. I could see Jacques, and I tried to find another confirming source or whatever supporting. I couldn't, but Jake the Snake and the Innovator is what Hockey Reference said.
Wouldn't it be funny if you had like a Miss Elizabeth out there, like standing by the net with it?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. As a kid, Plant had asthma that prevented him from skating for extended periods of time. Because of this, he became a goalie. His father made Plant's first pads by stuffing potato sacks and reinforcing them with wooden panels.
Sounds comfortable.
I bet that felt great. Getting hit with that wood, probably shattered half the time. All right. Plant's mother taught him how to knit and make his own toques. Plant would go on to wear his homemade toques while practicing and playing as a youth. Now I'm going to go out on a limb. Those toques are the hats, right? Like you'll see it in the outdoor classic games.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goalies wear the toques. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things about those outdoor games where they wear those. In playing the puck, Plant stated that possession of the puck is the number one key thing. That's all I'm doing. Getting control until one of my teammates comes along. Plant also noted if he had the puck, the opponent didn't have it and couldn't take a shot. So here's the deal. I don't go into this, but reading about him, when he started playing the puck, it was like sacrilegious. Like the media went nuts. Fans loved it because they've never seen it before. But the media was like, you can't do this. Coaches were going nuts. General managers, everyone's like, he can't be doing this stuff. It's like, well, it makes sense. And ushered in a whole new era. Here we go, Josh. Here you go. Toe Blake, Canadians coach, hated that Plant wore a mask and considered it a sign of mental weakness and cowardice. However, Plant stuck to his guns and refused to take it off. These two would butt heads, and it came down to a point where I think Plant told him he is quitting because Toe Blake didn't want him to wear a mask. And
was Toe a goalie? I don't remember.
I can't remember. Probably.
I'd be like, why don't you go get puck shot? Because not a lot of people raised the puck even back then, right? It was mainly
at one point it was like illegal to raise the puck. I don't know when that changed.
But I would think that's not the puck; it's the sticks around the net that would.
Well, sticks and pucks. I mean, you get a puck in the face. I mean, I didn't show it on here because family show, I guess. But if you Google Jacques Plant, there's pictures of his face just deformed from getting hit with a puck.
Oh.
And so he was pretty adamant, and he butted heads and he won. I mean, it came down to he was going to quit. But it's amazing hearing like the cowardice and mental weakness stuff be thrown around. And I think about too. So my daughter played softball, and softball now pitchers, a lot of them wear the mask, but there's still people that are like, oh, you're being, whatever. You're not tough enough to go out there with well, guess what? I don't want a line drive off my face. Like, you want to wear a mask, go for wearing a mask. You do what you want to do. But yeah, so just a different era back then, I guess. During his
we grew up though in the era like playing football when we were kids, where you got your bell rung, get up, get back in the game. Don't be a wimp, right?
I remember that happened in one hockey game. I collided with another player. I think it was an opponent, and I mean, I had a concussion. It's like things were seeing stars. I didn't kind of know where I was at, and they just come out and they're like, "Oh, yeah, get back in there. You're good." I'm like, okay. So
Toe Blake was a left wing, by the way.
Okay, there we go. So I don't know. It's crazy. Just a different era. During his playing career and after, Plant would write hockey columns for various publications. He also published books around goaltending development. And then finally, a little interesting one I found, Plant was one of the first goaltenders to raise his arm to indicate to his team about an icing call. now. I don't even know if goalies do that anymore, but I don't think,
I think they do. They do it in youth all the time.
Yeah, youth they do. I was wondering now with the NHL rule where it's a race to the. I don't know. It's the race to the bottom of the circle if I remember. But
it seems like you and Jacques Plante would have got along swimmingly.
Oh, I would have been fan. I would, man. He might be on my list. What 3 guys would you want to sit down with if you bring anyone back? I bet he would have some. Just the mind, the analytical mind to have some of his thoughts around goaltending back in the 50s is pretty nuts. Okay, his rookie card, Josh, right here. It's one of the most famous cards in hockey. 1955 Parker's number 50, Jacques Plante rookie card. No PSA 10 copies of this card.
Yeah, it's like an impossible card to get great in good mint condition.
100%. Highest grade at PSA that this card has received is a PSA 8. And there's one on the screen here. There's 11 copies that don't have a qualifier. Total graded copies of this card at PSA is 374. And that's, again, those that don't have the qualifier. Most graded copies at PSA of this card is a PSA 4 with 69 graded copies. Most recent sale of a PSA 8 I could find was on March 8th of 2021 for $24,000 US via Golden. I don't know if I don't know. You never know with some of these. I mean, the 2021 March was was that the start of the pandemic?
Yeah, but some of the rare vintage stuff, it really hasn't mattered. Like it's going to go up because they just never come for sale.
True. A PSA 7 copy of this card did sell just recently on eBay on June 16th for $5,674.43 US and verified as paid in Terapeak. So there you go.
Remember on Memorial Day, we did the Johnny Bauer little retrospective there, and it is a tough kind of call between Bauer and Jacques Plante.
Well, Plante, they'll be like, oh, he had awesome teams that he played with, and tons. Great debates. Go get one of those computer games like Fantasy Hockey Manager or something where you can like set up games between all these teams and see who's the best goalie.
A great pose on his rookie card too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of the greatest cards. I love this card.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Oh.
Confession must be time for confession of a hockey card dealer. It's something a little bit new and different that you and I are
definitely different. I liked it though. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What we've done is partnered with our hobby buddy and Chateau Gongshow roommate Sylvain, who is a card dealer. That's what he does. Like it's part of his job, and it's a job that fascinates you and I. We both agree that we would suck at it. To put it bluntly, I'm pretty. Who would be worse, you or me? Be honest.
I think probably me because if I saw a card I wanted, I would just buy it without. I don't care what the price is. I really want that. Give me. And
I like every card. That's my problem. So I would just buy it all. And
I was thinking about this. I wouldn't be able to get rid of that emotion. Like I think card dealers have to be able to just bundle up their emotions on personal emotions or all that stuff, and a
lot of them are collectors, and I think that's good.
That's good for them to make money. I bet.
Yeah, you put it perfectly, right? You can't have that emotional attachment to the cards, and because if the card is so good, I would want to like sell all the bad ones. It wouldn't be worth any money. Keep all the good ones, right? That would be my big problem. So we thought it'd be fun and interesting to periodically follow kind of a regular segment, if you want to call it that, on our show, the life of a hockey card dealer. And we're, a big part of it in enlisting Sylvain and what he's agreed to do is to have a real honest look at it, right? We didn't want to bring somebody on that was going to, I don't know, try to tell everyone why they're the bee's knees. Is that just like any job, like any passion that you have in life, there's ups and downs and twists and turns, and it's something that I'm really interested in learning more about. So we're really excited that he agreed to come on. And so really in today's first chapter, what we're going to do is get to know Sylvain a little bit, and we'll go from there. And I think every couple weeks or something like that, we'll check back in and follow the life of a card dealer. Sound good?
I want to throw this in there so we don't bury the lead. Reminder that he does work for Slab Sharks. He does affiliate work. They're a sponsor. Just remember that. If make sure we get that out there.
Has nothing to do with
No.
Slab Shark. So
It has nothing to do with that part. I just want to make sure people are aware.
I'm happy you did that. It's very coincidental. And not that we're not always happy to promote Slab Sharks, but that wasn't the interest. This is not sponsored by them.
No.
It's more, it's something that we become friends with Sylvan, and he agreed to do to let everyone follow along. So without further ado, here's part of our conversation in chapter 1 from earlier today of Confessions of a Hockey Card Dealer.
Oh, do you want me to do some monk chants?
Pretty much. There it is. It's the church bells, folks. That means it's time for chapter 1 of Confessions of a Card Dealer, where we are welcoming Sylvain Cormier. Did I say your name right?
Yes, you did. Yeah. Nice
Oh
work.
my God. Took 2 years, dude.
Do you think you know French? Do you think you know French better than me? Are you challenging me on my French? Is that what you're
Well, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to do this. This will be fun, I think.
Thank you for having me, Josh and Troy. I'm pretty excited, and it does sound like a lot of fun. It might be a little scary, but it might be fun too. So it's my kind of enjoying.
Don't worry, nobody listens. It's not scary. Okay.
Go.
So we already kind of gave the premise. You've agreed to come on a couple times a month and let us really live vicariously through you and follow the life of a card dealer, because Troy and I'm pretty sure, would be the worst card dealers ever. The whole idea terrifies me, Sylvan. And so I'm very, very excited to get the inside scoop from you. And then really the whole point of this is to follow your journey a little bit and go through the ups and downs, the awesome days, the bad days, and see what life is really like doing what you do. But before we get into the dealing, the wheeling and dealing part, I want to learn a little bit about you. So we know your name is Sylvain. It took us 2 years to be able to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Okay. So I live in Moncton, New Brunswick, which is a small city in Atlantic Canada.
is that in the ocean? Are you like in the ocean on an
Is that
island
real?
or what?
Are you sure, Troy? Do we believe?
There is an island, PEI, which is Prince Edward Island, is about an hour drive from here, an hour and 15-minute drive from here. Yeah.
Okay, what province is it in?
It's in a province called New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
It's
Okay.
got 3 cities, but the province itself is smaller than, like, the population of the province itself is smaller than Ottawa. So
Wait. There's
doesn't make
3
sense.
towns in your whole province?
3 cities in the province, but they're all pretty small.
It's like Hogwarts, one of them. Is that the idea?
No, I am a magician, but no, Hogwarts isn't.
Okay, you are kind of a magician, and I'm going to explain why right now. You speak perfect English, but it is not your first language, and that will always be, to me, the most, other than you're a very, very nice guy, the most interesting thing about you. How the heck did you learn to speak English so good? And then tell us why we're so bad at French.
Well, thank you for saying that. New Brunswick is the only officially bilingual province in Canada, although Canada is officially a bilingual country.
Shots fired.
The language, I grew up in a small fishing town 30 minutes from Moncton, and it's a small population of maybe 2,000 people. And what we talk is not necessarily English or French. It's like a mishmash of both. It's like a dialect of both. But my mom had a lot of English friends, and I just got exposed to English very young. And I played a lot of, I was really into video games, and I kind of taught myself how to learn English after I learned how to, read English after I learned how to read French. But grade 2 or 3, and I think it's common with people from my town. But the funny thing is, a lot of people from my town I love my town. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people who like stay there and don't really explore, they're not really good at English or proper French. So if they go outside of New Brunswick,
Sounds like us.
Yeah, they'll struggle. They'll struggle in English and they'll struggle in French. Yeah, I guess I was just lucky to be exposed with a lot of English. And I remember actually, I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, and there was a girl about my age, and I said, "Oh, that's tree." I said tree for 3, right? She said, "It's not tree, it's 3. And I remember that moment sticking into my head and being like, okay, I can't get made fun of for not speaking proper English anymore. And I made a decided effort to not have an accent. And I think because I started at a young age, and I mean, I thank her, like she might have made fun of me and might have bullied me back
Sure.
then, but it paid off because
Yeah.
I really made a decision to get rid of it. And here we are.
Well, that is crazy. Yeah, because French was like the first language spoken in your house, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, there
I
we
was
go.
raised in French. Yeah. But
Now
most
you are a
music and
card.
most music
Like-
and TV that we watched, like French stuff was not considered cool growing up in my town. So exposure was 95% English, but school was French.
So be honest, when you listen to our show, how many times do you like close your eyes and shake your head slowly when we try to say counter?
I actually not that often because I'm used to having my name butchered in English. My place of employment is 99% English.
Yeah.
When I go to card shows, unless it's in Quebec, and even in Quebec, I want to say 50% of the interactions are in English. So I'm used to getting my name butchered. So when I hear the
Sure.
show and I know a French name's coming up, I'm not surprised. So I don't shake my head, but I actually see it as an opportunity to teach you guys.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so that was going to kind of lead into my next question that you were talking a little bit about shows. As a card dealer in Canada, is it a advantage to be able to be bilingual and speak
100%.
both French and English?
Absolutely, especially New Brunswick being so close to Quebec and Quebec collectors being so passionate and active in the hobby. It 100% is an advantage. And a lot of New Brunswick for a long time in the 90s and the early aughts was the call center capital of, I think, like North America or even the world, because we would take on French and English calls across Canada. So it's been an advantage. If you're bilingual, it's an advantage in any customer facing role.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so when, where, why, and how were you crazy enough to dip your toe into the world of making a living or supplementing your living through sports cards, in particular hockey cards?
So this started back when I was a kid. I want to say I was 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old. My dad owned a restaurant. When I was born, he already owned a restaurant. It was my grandmother's restaurant. He bought it from my grandmother, and that restaurant and it was a seafood restaurant. The community I grew up in was a big fishing village, and it was fried seafood with like fish and chips, clam and chips, stuff like that, fried scallops and chips. And it was more like a takeout restaurant, is what we called it here. And I don't know if you guys call them takeout restaurants.
Yeah.
But right next to it, I want to say opened in 89, maybe 1990. I would have been 5 by then. A little hobby shop opened up. So I had a local card shop next to my dad's restaurant.
Nice.
And I had my cousins who are 8 and 10 years older than me. They were teenagers at the time. I looked up to them like a lot. And I remember there were now it's a junk wax era, but I remember there being, Ken Griffey Jr. rookies I was all excited about. And there were a few, big cards that were excited. And I started collecting baseball because I played baseball then. But my dad would buy sealed wax, hoping it would go up, kind of like everyone did back then. But obviously that didn't pan out.
Yep.
So fast forward a few years, I was always into collectibles, but it kind of evolved. I was diagnosed late in life with ADHD, but it explained why all my hobbies and interests would kind of just rotate. But I always liked collectibles, so it went from sports cards to video games to Magic cards, Pokemon cards, and then back to video games. So in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s, I was 19 and 20. I worked at a video game store. So, and let's rewind a little bit. When I played Magic and I'd come into town and we'd have Friday night Magics, I was obsessed with looking up, like buying the magazine and looking up the values and just doing the math on what I had was worth, what I was looking for was worth. And I really enjoyed that part. Like I'd spend hours alone, just like looking at what I had, writing down what the values were compared to what the new issue of Wizard. No, it wasn't Wizard. It was a magazine that showed the value of the cards. And I would often go to town with my friends because I didn't have a car and they did, but they weren't comfortable trading. So I was kind of like their trade ambassador. So when a guy from the city would approach my friend, and they were English and my buddies were French, he was like, "Do you trade?" And they'd point at me. So I was kind of like their ambassador, making sure that they didn't kind of get screwed over, making sure that the trade was fair. So, and then fast forward a few years, I worked at a video game store. I ended up managing the store for a while. So I opened up an eBay around then, and I started flipping video games sometimes when the games that the store didn't want, or I sometimes straight up buy it from the store and then put it up on my eBay when the store I felt was asking less than what I felt it was worth. So I would do that. And when the whole PS3 craze came, I ended up camping overnight at Walmart. I don't necessarily believe in doing that now because you're taking away from the people who actually want to play the PlayStation. But I was 21, 22. I was a kid. I had ambitions. And so I flipped a few PlayStation 3s. So I did that for a while. I just always had an interest in buying something and either flipping it or moving it. And my heart and soul went into the customer experience the entire time. I always made sure my communication was good. I always make sure that the experience of the buyer was top notch. And that was through either, working at the video game store or my own eBay selling video games. So fast forward to the pandemic, and I hit some hard times. I get laid off. I had already, due to losing my father before the pandemic, I'd gone on a mental health leave, and it was kind of really, I had to fight with insurance to get funding, like to, just to stay afloat. And then I get back on my feet, the pandemic hits, and then I get laid off. So it was like a double whammy of financial issues.
Gotcha.
And so I decided to sell my house. I bought my house during it was really cheap. It was in 2014. It wasn't that long after, the market. It was definitely a buyer's market when I bought it. And fast forward, we're late 2020, and I'm in a financial bind, and I decide to sell my house. It's me and my spouse decide it's time to sell the house. While I'm packing, I find some cards. The sale of the house is only in 4 or 5 months, so we do have time. But I find the cards. This is like in December. I find a few Magic cards worth anywhere between, I don't know, $30 and $100. Nothing too crazy. But I also found a few Yager O-Pee-Chee Premier rookies. And so I start looking on Facebook Marketplace to see if I can find. By the way, I had no idea we were in the middle of a huge card boom. Like I had no idea.
So that was accidental. I kind of figured that it was the pandemic sports card boom that piqued your interest.
No, I didn't even know. I had no idea. And then I start looking up on I start looking for cards on Facebook Marketplace, and I made contacts relatively quick. There were guys flipping not that far from where I lived. There was one guy, he had been a longtime collector. He didn't live far from where I lived. So I immediately made contacts that way. And I was laid off and I had a lot of time on my hands. And I said, well, let me see if I can move what I have now and reignite, like dust off my eBay store. And I did exactly that. And I ended up buying a case of, so this is a few months after I ended up buying a case of Series 2 of 2020, 2021 with Stützle and Kaprizov.
There we go.
So I buy the case and I film it. A lot of my thoughts, actually, I wanted to make content and sell cards. By this, I'm already a top rated seller on eBay. It really didn't take long. I would buy lots from my buddy and I would auction some. I'd buy it now some. And within 2 or 3 months, I was already top rated seller on eBay, which, you know, I was pretty pumped about. And when I bought the case, I think I paid about $1,900 Canadian for the case, and then I immediately sold everything that was in it, and I think I sold it for about $2,900. So I made $1,000 minus eBay fees. I probably made like $800.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, wow, this is easy.
Well, you mentioned you thought you would do content and selling cards. Well, there's more money in selling cards, just so you know, and I'm not sure there's any money in selling cards. So you made a wise decision not to do content. So you had a couple early wins, right? And that always gets your juices going forward. And so I'm assuming then that you just sort of continue to gradually do more and more and more. But when was it where you thought for the first time, I wonder if I could do this as my full-time job?
So I actually decided like pretty early, like I never questioned, I wonder if I can do this as a full-time job. As soon as I found my cards and I dusted off my old eBay, I'm like, Sylvain, you've been kind of coasting life and it got you to where you are. It's really time that you follow your passion and that you do something with your life that involves collectibles. So like day one, my goal was to do cards full time one day. I'm still not there yet.
Something clicked right at that moment with you and
100%.
And how long ago was that about?
Almost 4 years ago. It was like end of 2020, December 2020.
Okay, so if we could go back in our hot tub time machine to December of 2020, what would Sylvain of today tell the moment that clicked? What's 3 pieces of advice you'd give yourself?
Wow, that's a good question. Okay, and most of it has to do more with human interaction than it does with the actual cards. But it's like, don't be so naive. When someone is pumped about their card that they're trying to sell to you, they're usually overvaluing it. So
always overvaluing it? Could you say always overvaluing it?
Almost over, yeah. So always overvaluing their stuff. I noticed that pretty early, actually. I'm like, that I would overvalue my stuff, and then by the time I sold it, I'm like, wow, this is like 25% less than I expected. But because I sold so quickly, so early, I feel like I got over that hurdle pretty quickly. But I would still say that other people, I didn't realize how other people hadn't, gone over that hurdle yet. It's a huge hurdle to go through if you want to have success in the hobby. That loss aversion is it's a huge barrier. You have to be okay to lose money. So that number one would be, don't be so naive. When someone's excited about their cards, but they're trying to move it at the same time, they're not really that excited about their card because they're trying to get rid of it. So that also, try not to please everyone. It's going to be impossible to please everyone. If you're doing trades or you're buying from someone or you're selling to someone, it's okay to walk away from a deal, even if you have a few hours invested or a few days worth of back and forth invested. It's okay. And if it takes a few days to actually come to an agreement, by then it's probably time to walk. You're more than likely going to want to walk away from it than actually.
Are you a people pleaser by nature?
I am. And
so is it hard for you to do that, to learn how to say, this just isn't the right deal? I'm sorry, we can't do it.
Totally. I'm still actively working on it. So yes, very much so. It's actually the thing I'm working on the most right now is, having difficult conversations and not pleasing people, because I hate disappointing people and I hate being misunderstood. So I'll say yes sometimes when I don't benefit from it. I'm getting way better. I want to say in the last even 4 or 5 months, it's been way better. And but yes, so that's 2. I guess number 3 would be don't prospect. Don't prospect. Move as fast as you can. That's the other thing. I want to say
it seems like that it's the ups and downs are almost impossible to plan around. Like if you're going to get involved in prospecting, you have to buy a card and sell it within like 2 days.
Yes, absolutely. My mentality now is that I try to get the best deal that I explained to the person on the other side of the table. Look, I'm a vendor. I've got, I had to pay for the trip. I had to pay for my stay. I had to pay for this table. I can offer you, 75 to 70% of what the card is worth. And I'm going to try to sell it as close to 100% of what it's worth. But I'm probably not going to sell it at 100%. I'm probably going to sell it at 90 because someone wants a deal,
Sure.
So my mentality now is to get something at a really good price, at a great price, and then try to sell it at a good price as soon as I can. So I want to say in mid 2022, I had probably like 200 to 220 graded cards, graded young guns, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll sell about 30% of this, but I should have sold 100% of it, right? Because by fast forward a year, and most of it had gone down like 75%.
How many card dealers like you do you think there are, like even in the province you live or in nearby? Is there not a lot of people like you? Is there a lot of people like you? Do you guys have like conventions that you go to and sit around and smoke cigarettes and talk about war stories or something like that? Or?
So if the question is, are there many card vendors in my area? The question is yes, actually quite a bit. If you're asking if there are quite a lot like me, no.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose it could be like from doing a couple of Facebook Marketplace listings to having more of a like legitimate operation, right?
Well, yeah, and we have quite a few, we have a lot of small shows in Moncton, Fredericton, St. John, which are the three, cities in New Brunswick. Yeah. And then Halifax. Halifax has a pretty decently sized show. It is still just from like 9 to 1, 9 to 2 on a Saturday. I think it could be longer, but that Halifax show, I want to say there's anywhere between 70 and 90 vendors that'll set up on a given show. And most of us, by now, I moved on from eBay, selling cards on eBay, and started selling more at shows, because as much as I enjoyed the eBay thing and the reach was great, what I do now is I will try to move something at a show, and if it doesn't move, I'll auction it through Slab Sharks.
Yeah, you're affiliated with Slab Sharks too. You want to explain that real briefly?
I am, yeah. So keep in mind, day one, I was like, I'm gonna find a way to do this as a living. I'm still not 100% there yet. This is still very much just a side thing, but I knew that if I wanted to make this as a living, I had to go to shows, and I had to go to big shows, and Toronto, was the big show. And I also realized, actually, Josh, pretty early, after my graded lot of SGC Young Guns fell in value, I realized I'm not going to make a living on just flipping, buy, sell, trade. I need to also offer the hobby a service. So I actually started offering people around here to sell their cards on my eBay. And a lot of them were uncomfortable with the idea of auction. So I would just, okay, well, I'll set a buy it now, and I'll message you when I get an offer. And that was fine. But one of the reasons why I didn't move most of my cards was because I was offering this service to people, and that took up most of my time. So I was selling other people's cards, and it was way harder work than I realized. And I remember when Slab Sharks got announced, and they were going to the Toronto show in November of 22. I remember asking Karn a few questions, and he could tell in the way I asked my questions that I was a one-man show. And he said, "Oh, dude, you need an operation. Like, you can't just be a one-man show."
Yeah, to be a consigner, it's a game of volume, right?
Yeah,
you have to move thousands of cards and make it's like making a few pennies on thousands of sales in order to make a good living, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, absolutely. So he could tell in the way that I was asking my questions that I was a one-man show. He said, "Oh, you need an operation." And I also asked him a follow-up question, which was like, how could I rent, if I'm planning on going to the Toronto show, how can I rent those display cases at the Toronto show. He's like, well, how about you just rent a booth from our booth, because we have such a large space that we'll have,
Sure.
we can have an extra space for you. So I'm, yeah, sure, great. So I ended up doing that. It went really well. I networked really well. I also realized that I had overpriced my cards because I did do a lot of trades. I didn't do that many sales. And I remember I had an SGC 10 Stutzla, and I had it priced at like $240. And I walked by a booth that had a PSA 10 Stutzla that had it priced at $210. And my gut just sank. And I was like, this is going to be tough. And I'm going to have to be a little bit looser on my prices here. And I was, and I'm glad I was, because I did end up networking quite a bit. And I did end up talking, to the Slab Sharks guys and asking if they were planning on wanting representation out east. And they said, well, funny enough, we're going to have an affiliate program. And come January of 23, I became an affiliate with Slab Sharks. And come January 24, I became the director of affiliates for Eastern Canada of Slab Sharks.
Nice.
So just going to the Toronto show consistently pays off more than the money or profit that I sometimes make on flipping cards.
Gotcha.
And
Okay, well, I think that's a really good backstory. We're going to, again, the whole point of this is an ongoing thing where we're going to follow your story. And so wanted to start with a little bit more of the background so people get a chance to know you. But before we let you go today, what's your focus right now? So what are you working on that will be able to get some sort of progress report on when you come back in a couple of weeks? Is there any like big shows upcoming or deals that you're working on?
Good question. What's funny is this time of year, like it's quite a lull. Like after May and June, like there's not much.
We're the kings of perfect timing. Troy.
It's like starting a hockey cards podcast during the off season. Who would do that? Oh wait, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Right. But I guess I did.
But you got to be making moves in the off season too, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I did just mail like quite a few cards to PSA. I did actually receive a PSA order today. The grades are they're not fantastic. So my goal is going to be, I'm going to move a few of them. I'm also going, so I sent a batch to grade the other day as well.
How often do you do that? Is that like a big part of buying raw cards and trying to come up with an eye? And because that's where you can make a lot of margin, is going from raw to graded, right? If they grade well.
Yes, exactly. If they grade well. It used to be my only play. I would buy graded and raw to grade. But now I want to say I send a lot less. Like I'm okay buying something already graded if it's already a good deal. Yeah. My philosophy used to be like, well, I'd rather, try to sell something at 100% profit and keep that churning than, try to make 20% on a PSA 10 Matthews.
Okay, I have a question about PSA for you. So as a guy who sends a lot of cards to PSA, do you find their grading to be inconsistent?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Is that frustrating to you? Because I assume that by now you feel like your eye is getting better at identifying, but yet if I was in your shoes, that would really bother me, because I feel like that it's a roll of the dice, whatever you get back.
And that's why I've pivoted a ton since I've started. And I'm one of those guys that's willing to pivot early. And I think that's why I'm finding relative success in this, is because that used to be my main model was to buy raw and grade. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, well, if I'm going to get 30% off a PSA 10 that I know is easy to move, why not just buy it as a PSA 10? So now I want to do it. I want to say it's like 50-50. I used to grade, I want to say maybe on average about 40 cards a month, and I'd send it every 2 months. So I'd probably have 80 to 100 cards out every, 60 days, every 45 to 60 days. So I went. Are
you a crack and resub guy? So if you're like, there's no way this is a 9. And have you found that when you do crack and that you get different grades when they come back?
So to answer, I'll clarify. If if it's like a, I don't know, like a Dustin Wolf. Sorry, yeah, like a Wolf PSA 9 that I thought was a 10. I'm not going to crack that. But if it's a
Yeah.
McDavid, you know what I mean? I might
I'm
crack that.
I'm just curious if you found that works. That eventually, because you hear a lot of people like very glib say, "Well, just send it in until you get a 10." And is there any truth to that?
So actually, I'm going to reel back my statement here. I don't often crack PSA slabs to send it back to PSA. I'll crack a BGS slab that looks like a PSA 10, and I'll send that to
because there can be a
PSA.
big lift in there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, but like if it's a big card like a Matthews or a Crosby or an Ovi or a McDavid that I'm pretty sure is a 10 and it comes back an 8 or 9, I'm going to try a second time. I'll try at least twice. I'm not going to. I actually just got a McDavid back that I thought was a 10 the first time, came back a 9. I cracked it and then it came back an 8. And I decided then and there, I'm going to cut my loss. I'm going to sell it as an 8.
Yeah.
Like it was a 9.5 True Gem Plus from Beckett. I cracked it, sent it comes back a 9. I'm like, how is this a 9? So I send it, and now it's
comes back an 8.
Like, oh. So
and
they
not
upcharge
going
me on
the right way.
Well, but look, that's like honesty at least. Like, hey, sometimes it goes the other way. It's not all.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Every time I talk to people at shows and stuff, it's always, I said it was like 8, and I submitted it got 10. It's like stuff goes the other way too.
So I want to say a lot of people in the hobby. I love collectors and I love hobbyists, but a lot of cards come through my hand. So if you're of the scarcity mindset and you have a beautiful raw McDavid that you sent and you got an 8 or a 9 and you're sure it's a 10, there's nothing wrong with sending it a few times. But for me, especially if you're going to keep it, if you really want a McDavid 10, if you send it 2 or 3 times, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But every time you send it, you're digging into your potential margin.
Yeah.
Or you're making your losses worse if you don't ultimately get that 10 grade.
Yes. And I know that another Mint McDavid is going to find its way to me one day. So I'm not hanging on to the idea of this needs to be a 10 for me to make money. I'm okay losing. I've realized that part of the game is losing money and cutting your losses when you need to.
You have to free up cash, right, in order to invest in other. So don't hang on to. And I think that would be my problem. Is I don't like losing money, and so I would just buy and probably never sell because nothing would go up. But okay, well, like I said, this is going to be a recurring bit, and so now I'm actually kind of excited. This is very good information, and you did a beautiful job of kind of letting us and everyone else know who you are. But now it's going to get fun when we have you back on next time and we sort of follow the nitty gritty and the day-to-day life. But before we let you go, if anyone has any cards or deals or cards they're looking for or anything that they might want hobby related that they think you might be able to help them with, how do people contact you?
Best way to reach me would be through Instagram. That's @Lashwine is my handle. Or you can email me at sylvain@slabsharks.com.
Okay.
I'm going to throw something in here when you said, like, what can we look forward to next? I did buy Bobby Orr rookie card that's being graded. So, I guess to answer that would be grade
when does
reveals.
That come back? Yeah, grade reveals. That would be cool.
So in like a month and a half or 2, I should have some pretty sweet cards back from grading. So that's something to kind of look forward to.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right. Our dealer in the books. Thank you so much, Sylvain, and we will look forward to seeing you again next time, bud.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Troy. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, Troy, did we learn anything?
Oh, we learned a bunch. We learned history of Sylvain, how he came. I love the backstory on how he came into cards and collectibles and growing up next to or having a family business next to a hobby shop, and then kind of growing from that aspect on. And then it's amazing. It's really interesting, the backstories of people that get into it. So
have you ever heard him speak French? Is he lying?
Yes.
Because he speaks English so good.
He speaks French. Yeah.
How does he speak English so good and not have an accent? Or
aren't we supposed to say speaks English so well? Like we can't even say it right. Like I do the same thing. I say good all the time. I always like, well. I'm like,
how do Sylvain talk good times? Yeah, it shows Iron Range education.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to checking back in a couple weeks or so and see. And that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
To kind of follow the ups and downs
Yep.
and see what
That's
what
exactly
happens.
why we're doing it. Ups and downs, not just all ups. They're all downs. We all go through life.
Well, speaking of Slapsharks show,
Slap Sharks.
well, speaking of Slap Sharks, Troy, they are a
Yes.
sponsor of our show and want to
Yes.
make a quick mention because we are very, very grateful for their support. The current Slap Sharks weekly eBay auction is live and ends tonight. Something like 1,800 cards available in this week's Slap Sharks auction.
It gets silly every week. There's so many cards. So
There's
many
47 million hockey cards available this week in the Slap Sharks auction. Not really, but it feels like it. I wonder if Sylvan has any cards that we should ask.
Yeah.
Just like every week, tons of bangers, of course. If you missed it, like you're not listening to us on show release day, then no worries. Because once one auction ends, the next begins. There's always great cards available through Slap Sharks. And if you happen to be a Canadian hockey cards collector, we'd recommend checking out Slap Sharks eBay consignment services because they make it super easy to sell your cards online. They literally do all the work. That's what Sylvan does, right? You just send them. If you're in the Eastern Canada area, you say, hey, Sylvan, take my cards, sell them, and give me the money. And basically, he takes care of it for you. Then you don't have to be an expert eBay seller because Slap Sharks is. And plus, their auctions get tons of eyeballs and bidders each week. So you know you'll get a good amount of exposure for your cards. Be sure to head to slapsharks.com for complete consignment info, including payout rates, and to start the consignment process today. Happy news!
Happy news.
It feels weird. We're not doing the Bedard.
No Bedard.
Yeah, okay. But we're
It's like I'm like scratching myself.
We'll move on. So we got to do a little bit of an NHL free agency roundup, Troy. A lot of in the first few days of free agency. Nashville by far made the biggest splash.
Yeah.
Signed 3 big free agents on day one.
Remember the Wild made a big splash and signed Parisi and Suter, and we thought it was our ticket to the Stanley Cup, and then no.
It was one of the funnest days ever.
It was great. I bought a jersey. I mean, I got a jersey. I got a Suter jersey.
It was.
Now...
It wasn't the 4th of July because I remember being at the lake and hearing.
Yeah, it was 4th. It was like July 4th, I think, when they announced it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
now we have no money.
Okay. Yeah, but we digress. Yes. Okay, so they signed Stamkos from the Lightning. We talked about at length on our last show. They also added the Las Vegas Golden Knights all-time leading scorer, Jonathan Marchessault.
Mm-hmm.
I love saying that name, Marchessault. And then they capped it off by adding Lakeville, Minnesota's native Brady Shea, who has the most non-Minnesota name ever. But I still know how to say it, so I'm proud of myself.
He's from Lakeville? I thought he was from Burnsville.
It said Lakeville
born in Lakeville. Did he play it? Nope, Lakeville North. Oh, I'm thinking of Besser. Brock Besser.
Yeah, Brock Besser. He's from Burnsville High School. So huge moves by the Preds. If you're a Nashville fan, I'm assumed you're pumped or maybe nervous now that we've had. But you know, the thing is that what really doomed the Wild was when they signed Parisi and Suter, it was in the era of like 49-year contracts.
Yes.
And that era is over now. So even you look at like, what did Stamkos get, like 4 years?
Yep.
Something like that. I can't remember Marchessault, but none of them are that long, I guess. So got that going for you. But so now you have a core in Nashville with, you got Ryan O'Reilly came last year.
Yep.
Got Roman Josi.
Well, Riley improved the locker room, right? He was going to improve the locker room.
Yeah.
Billy big bleeps and turn the locker room around. So now they get these guys in. They
just signed Saros for like what, 8 years, something like that too. So they've been spending money. Now, do you think it's enough for them to be serious? Are you going to take them seriously now, or are you in like wait and see mode?
I mean, they got some core pieces, but again, when you get these older players, it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just older guys kind of break down.
What happens with Stamkos then? He's been like the captain for most of the last decade and a half. He won't be the captain in Nashville, right?
I don't think so, unless is O'Reilly the captain right now, or who is?
I don't even know.
Is it Forsberg, or I don't even know.
Josi maybe.
Josi. It's got to be Josi, right?
Okay, you look it up.
Yeah,
But-
it'd only be like if he rescinds his captainship and gives it off to Stamkos. So I'm assuming Stamkos will get a A.
Mhm. I don't mean offense here when I say this, but which of course, anytime you start a sentence with that, you do kind of mean offense. But I guess what I'll say,
Yossi's the captain.
okay,
Sorry.
is that there probably wouldn't be a lot of hobby love if these all guys went to the Wild either.
Yeah.
But not the most exciting hobby team too. It's not like they all were signed by the Montreal Canadiens or something like that.
It's kind of nuts because I will say that I've been to 2 Predators games in Nashville, and they are by far the most fun I've ever had at a hockey game. It is a party. There's a band playing. It is it's right. I can't remember the name of the big bar street. Is it Broadway? Is that what it's called in Nashville? But it's like right at the arena's right at like the end of it or the beginning of it, I guess. And it's such a great atmosphere down there.
Is it Division Street?
Division, I think, was St. Cloud, wasn't it?
Oh.
I don't know. I'll look this up too.
I know what you're saying though, because
Yeah.
you hear stuff too, like about Columbus, right? Where they say Columbus has a very passionate fans. The games are great, but it's kind of seen like a teeny tiny itty bitty nobody cares hobby market. Too.
Broadway in Nashville. Yep.
So my point is, I don't think it's gonna do much to bump up their markets. And when I checked yesterday, even like looking at Stamkos's 2008 Young Guns PSA 10 pop 449, 37% gem rate. I think there's one sale maybe for 387, up almost $60 since the previous sale. So somebody was excited, but it's one sale. And then Marchessault is going from a market that typically has very little hobby love in Vegas to another hockey market that isn't in the top tier.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but he did have 42 goals last year. And then Brady Shea is just a nice player, but not much of a hobby guy. Defenseman. So then other news, Oilers' Jeff Skinner signed a 1-year deal after being bought out by Buffalo. Again, not much of a hobby market for Skinner, but maybe he'll balance out some of the scoring on the team, and that could help them get over the hump. I actually like that signing a lot for them.
Yeah, I think when we talking to Billy, and Billy thought he scored did he say 40 goals in the year? But it was like 20
it was 20 something, but he had scored 30 the previous 2 years.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to. This guy has scored like 30 goal seasons, and probably I don't know if he's had more than that, but it's I'm just worried about how he's never made the playoffs, and he's just is he a problem? Is it he's got bad juju or what's going on?
If the Skinner playoff curse extends into next year, holy cow, is the poop gonna hit the fan then? Right?
Yeah,
they don't make the playoffs. Looks like Patty Kane is going to resign in Detroit, running back.
Yeah.
Did sign a 1-year deal with the team. What I think is kind of funny is I realized when I was looking at free agency, he's still played for original 6 teams, right?
Yeah.
Chicago, then the Rangers, and now Detroit.
Yeah.
And then you got Tampa Bay, who, in addition to getting Gensel, they also re-signed Victor Hedman. Really good idea there. Tough for them to lose Stammer, though. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you're a Tampa Bay fan, be pretty bummed right now, I would think.
I've been thinking about that a lot because I mean it's right that Stamkos. I don't know if he's publicly said this, but he's hinted at it. Like the disrespect they must have. He just feels. I don't. They did offer him 8 years, right? Tampa. I think what I heard, Tampa offered him 8 at was it
3
million? Oh, they offered him 3. I thought it was 8 years.
No, 8 years at 24 million over 8 years. What they wanted to do is keep their salary low and kind of like a weird little Bobby Bonilla type contract. It seemed like because there's no way he would necessarily play.
So they gave him term instead of money up front, and where Nashville only 4 years, but a lot more money, right?
Yeah. Well, he had 42 goals last year.
Yeah.
So how can you make the argument that he's fallen off a cliff? Now I understand not wanting to pay people in their mid-30s because in almost every case in any sport, by the end of that contract, they're diminished.
But at least those, I will say, at least with Preezi and Sears contract, I know we had to buy him out and all that crap, but at least it was like a diminishing at the end. It was like dropping down to like $1 million a year, I think, at the end, but we still had to buy him out because they're so bad.
It's kind of funny too in these whole like salary cap eras, and what that's ushered is a lot of in almost every sport too, not just hockey. You get these incentives to sign people to your own teams. We don't see like many blockbuster free agent deals anymore, or even big trades. And I was kind of thinking about that the other day in relation to the hobby, right? Where it's like, how insane would it be to, I'm trying to think of who, like for like Cole Caulfield to get traded right now,
Yeah.
or some Jack Hughes or somebody like, God forbid, Kaprizov, but that's probably the most likely.
Yeah.
We'll get back like 3 first-round or second-round picks for him or something like that. But I don't know. So it kind of makes, from a hockey fan's perspective, I thought free agency days have been really exciting. I love checking back and seeing all the signings, but is there really much of a hobby impact? Probably not.
No.
Okay. Walmart, Troy. It's like they're getting
Walmart.
serious about the collectibles space. Have you seen these ads everywhere? Like
I have after you, and I don't know if it's because the Google machine's listening to me, but after you and I talked about it, immediately in Reddit, I started getting the Walmart
they're
ads.
buying
This ad
up-
right here, this one right here.
Yeah, they're buying up tons and tons of media. So what they've done is they've opened up their online marketplace to allow sellers to sell basically trading cards and other collectibles, and to entice you to become a seller in their marketplace and sell your hobby stuff there. They're offering a 0 selling fees. I was going to say 0%, but kind of redundant, until the end of September. Already a number of listings within their marketplace, Troy. If like you go to the Walmart marketplace for hockey cards, it seems like it's a lot of retail blaster kind of stuff that you'd expect on Walmart. I think you do need to have a tax ID if you want to register as a seller,
like a business ID, not just
business ID. But I think the idea is you could sell singles, you could sell wax, whatever you want to. I don't really know. I kind of view this as, here's a huge corporation that's got this tool or this selling environment called the marketplace. And in some sort of meeting, they said, we need to be more active in the collectible space. And so they're trying to fit collectibles into their system instead of trying to design a product around the collectibles industry.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what can you do? It seems like just like a Amazon, like you can buy boxes on Amazon, but nobody does.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Usually way too expensive, or it's like a third party's. This is what they're. I think you're hitting the nail on the head. They have a third party platform. Third parties can sell on Walmart and on Target too. There's third party stuff, and they just said, well, let's open it up to cards and see how it goes. Walmart's a huge company, but I don't see how this gets any traction. I really don't. I think it goes away in like 2 years. But
to me, the biggest part of this is it's another indicator that the business world is taking our hobby seriously.
Yeah.
Right. They're at least going through the efforts. But you're right. They're not designing a product to benefit the hobby. They're trying to make the hobby fit into their products. And I just don't, again, I have nothing against Walmart. I have nothing against buying on here, but our brains only have room for so many options to consider. Right. And it's like, I just don't know what would make me choose in all the different places I could go to find boxes or trading cards to go to Walmart. It'd have to be some sort of reason, right? Where there's like 20% less boxes than everywhere else. Or would you think Walmart would have the buying power to do, right? If any company on earth could sell boxes, buy enough boxes on volume to sell them at an amazing price, it would be Walmart.
Well, I am surprised not like Walmart or Target hasn't said we're gonna try selling hobby boxes just to see. But maybe I don't know.
I don't know if the manufacturers would let them do that because they want.
Maybe it is. But wouldn't it be the distributors that have to make that call? Because they're the ones that get the product? I guess whatever. I get you. Yeah, probably.
Well, everybody whines about having like too many boxes of 2020 extended series, right? And distributors can't upload them to hobby shops. Hobby shops can't upload them. Why doesn't a Walmart go and buy them and just say, okay, we'll take all of them.
Yeah.
Take them off the hands of whatever distributor has them and then offer them for like $40 or something like that to consumers, where it's or $35, where it's like, oh, for $35, I'll buy a hobby box and move product. Right. We just talked to Sylvan about got to get stuff moving.
Yep.
So again, and that's just an example of like strategically, like how a Walmart type business in my mind, would make sense to the hobby. This seems a little half baked, but
Agree.
we'll see. Okay. Well, spent the last few deep dives, Troy, looking at sets.
Yep.
But with the release of 2023-24 Extended Series and a new crop of Young Guns rookie cards, as promised, we're back looking at rookies. As a reminder, the process is pretty simple. We come up with 4 potential candidates, throw them up on an Instagram poll, then we let you guys vote on who this week's deep dive should be. The idea, of course, is to get a good understanding of who these rookies are, their background, pedigree, so that when you're out buying boxes or chasing prospects, that you can make the most informed decision possible about which ones you might want to go after. But though, Troy, before we get into the current candidates, here is a look at the 2023-24 rookies we've already completed a deep dive on to this point. So how many have we done now? It's a lot, huh?
I can't believe it. It's been 28. Is that right? 28 episodes ago when we did the last one, or you did the last one. Korchinski.
Yeah.
All right.
Time flies. Well, we started. Listen, we were doing 2023 rookies on episode 80, the Matthew Nyes.
Yeah.
So we've just done about every one that's important. We skipped Connor Bedard because that felt just too redundant.
Every show
for us.
Deep dive on Bedard.
Every show. Basically, our podcast is a deep dive on Connor Bedard. So what is the last 5 were Leo Carlson? No, last 5 were Bobby Brink, Leo Carlson, Zach Benson, Bobby McMahon, and then Kevin Korchinski. Now, here's a look at this week's candidates. We had 4 to choose from: Adam Fantilli, Logan Cooley, Simon Nemec, and Matt Savoy, all extended series Young Guns. And Troy, with a 40% win of the vote, this week's rookie deep dive is none other than Adam Fantilli.
Ooh. Oh my God. Good.
It's the end. You got to wait for it.
Yeah. You don't want to speak over it.
No, you don't want to speak over it. So, Adamo Giuliano Fantilli.
Nice.
I'm not lying. This is his real name. It sounds more like a spaghetti sauce than a hockey player. But really is. He's a 19-year-old center, Troy, for your Columbus Blue Jackets. 6 feet, 2 inches tall, weighs in at 194 pounds, hails from the mean streets of Nobleton, Ontario, Canada.
Nobleton. What if it really is like a bad part of Canada?
I don't know. Fantilli was a bit of a hockey phenom, even at a young age, where he excelled in the famed GTHL for the Toronto Red Wings, Troy.
That's like sacrilege. How can you be the Red Wings and be Toronto?
I don't know. Isn't it like cost like $47,000 a year to play hockey in this league, the GTHL or something like that?
I don't know. You're gonna get me riled up.
Okay. Well, he must have been like 11 in this picture, but he did score 26 goals, added 15 assists in 32 games in 2019-20.
Okay.
So he's 19 now. That would have been 14, something like that. Well, that led him, Troy, to be the reason why we mentioned it. Is it led him to be the first overall pick by the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL priority selection draft in 2020. Except though, he didn't want to go. He had already committed to play for the Chicago Steel of the USHL. He had his sights set on the States. But that's a tongue twister. Now, why would he do that? Why would he spurn? Words are. Which we just quit now. Throw like zero words are working today. He didn't want to play in the OHL for 2 reasons. He wanted to retain his eligibility to play in NCAA hockey. I would think that's a rule that's going to change pretty soon, don't you?
I'm curious what they're going to do. The NCAA seems like a mess. Now, NCAA hockey, we've talked about it many times, is becoming the league for getting players NHL ready. We've seen it. Yep. It's changing. So I don't know what's going to happen with the NCAA. There's so many things down the pipeline with rules and all that stuff that I'm assuming something will change eventually.
The other reason is his older brother Luca also played for the Steel, so he wanted to go play with him. Now, prior to his USHL career, though, he did spend a season at a boarding school in New Hampshire, known for its hockey program. Have you ever heard of this place called Kimball Union Academy?
No, but why did he shun Shattuck St. Mary's? They're a boarding school in Faribault, Minnesota.
Yeah, it wasn't good enough. I don't know. Seems like a little bit like an East Coast Shattuck. That's what I
Yeah.
had in my notes. So funny that we're on the same page there. Ryan Donato and a number of other NHL players have also attended Kimball, so not quite the hockey pedigree of Shattuck. I've said it before. There's over 40 current NHL players that went to Shattuck St. Mary's.
Shattuck, you go to the rink. They have the wall of all the NHL players that have played in the NHL from Shattuck. It's pretty nuts.
Oh, it's a who's who. Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
It's very, very crazy. And it's like
Yeah.
total Hogwarts there, too. It looks like. So in his one season at Kimball, the prep school, he finished with 18 goals, 18 assists for 36 points in 26 games played. He would then move on to suit up for the Chicago Steel in the 2020-21 season. Had some pretty notable teammates in Chicago, Troy. Owen Power, ever heard of him?
Heard of him.
Matthew Coronado.
Wasn't he the one when Fantilli was the 2? Is that no? I'm screwed up.
Owen Power was the year before.
Sorry.
Draft.
Don't ask me about drafts.
Matthew Coronado and then Josh Doan, just to name
Okay.
a few. Also got to play with his older brother Luca, who was a defenseman with the Steel. Adam was pretty good in his USHL rookie season. Again, scoring 18 goals, 18 assists, 2 years in a row for 36 points, but in 49 games played. That was good enough, Troy, to be named to the USHL All-Rookie Second Team.
Okay.
That year, he also helped the Steel to the Clark Cup.
Yep.
And was named the playoffs MVP too. Adam would return to the Steel in 2021-22, where he would record 37 goals, 37 assists for 74 points in 54 games played. So if you look at like 3 seasons in a row, he had 18 goals, 18 assists, then 18 goals, 18 assists, then 37 goals, 37 assists. That is an even distribution in scoring.
Yeah.
In the business.
Well, it's kind of as you're going through all these stats and the U stuff, even I was jumping out. It's like he didn't have one of those 400 goals, 500 assists. So he's been pretty consistent. But
well, in his second year at the Steel, his 37 goals were the second most in the team's history, and he was named to the All USHL First Team that year too. Then the next season, and she showed terrible decision making when he made the jump to the NCAA and to the Michigan Wolverines.
No.
I don't know. The Gophers just didn't have room, I guess. He got off to incredibly. Now you said he hadn't had like a crazy season. His year at Michigan was. He got off to a hot start when he made his debut right away in October 2022. It really never looked back. In his freshman season, he scored 30 goals, added 35 assists for 65 points in just 36 games played, including Troy. In his first month of college hockey, he played 8 games. He had 18 points that first month and at least a point in every single game.
Pretty good.
That's not bad. Then following the season, he was named Big Ten Freshman of the Year, was named to the All Big Ten First Team. He was then the Big Ten Tournament MVP after scoring a record 7 goals in 4 games in that tournament. And then Fantilli's Wolverines would lose to the Quinnipiac. What is a Quinnipiac? What's the
Bobcats?
Oh, the Bobcats in the semifinals of the NCAA tournament. Then for the 2022-23 NCAA season, Fantilli also became just the 3rd freshman ever to win the Hobey Baker Award.
Do we know the others? Oh, you put it on here. I didn't.
I did. You have to guess.
I didn't.
Who are
Look.
the other
Are they like? Here's my only hint. Are they recent, or is one recent and one's older?
One's recent, one's early 90s.
Oh, so that wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking of Rob Stauber, but it must not have been him. Who are the other 2 freshmen? Brian Bonnen?
No.
Shoot. All right, I'm out.
Paul Correa in 1993. Jack Eichel in 2015.
Eichel, I wouldn't have got. Correa, I should have known. Dang it.
Now, since Adam Fantilli won the Hobey Baker, there's been another freshman, the 4th to have won the award. Who is that?
Was it goalie?
I don't know.
Was it last year?
Well, if you do the math, you can figure it out.
I'm confused.
So Fantilli won in 2022-23. So how many Hobey Bakers have
Celebrini. Duh.
Yeah. Celebrini. There you go.
Duh.
You've redeemed yourself, Troy.
Well, I redeemed myself. No, but after that, my draft snafu, I think I was thinking about Beniers. When was Beniers was second and Power was 1, right?
Yeah, something like that. I know Power was 1.
Okay.
After the Michigan season, Fantilli was eligible for the 2023 NHL draft. So here's what the scouts liked about him coming into the draft. Noted for powerful and fluid skating, Troy.
Nice.
His excellent acceleration and top-end speed, which allows him to create separation from defenders and transition quickly from defense to offense.
Yeah, two-way player.
Very dramatic. Two-way player. What if you're paid by the word if you're a scout? And you're just... Right. Obviously, it's high-end offensive skills. Pretty physical at 6'2", around 200 pounds. Of course, every scouting report talks about hockey IQ.
Hockey IQ. There we go.
Yeah, off the charts, right? Whatever. Every player has always been off the charts. There's never been a player on the charts. Competitive. That's a good thing. He praised his work ethic and competitive nature. And then his performance at Michigan. He had an awesome freshman year, was the third freshman ever to win the Hobie Baker Award. And that will definitely drive up your draft stock. If you can do that. So the Columbus Blue Jackets would go ahead and select Fantilli with the third overall pick in 2023. Didn't take long for him to decide to leave college and go straight to the NHL. He signed his 3-year NHL level or entry level contract on last July 1st. So just a few days after the draft. He would make the Blue Jackets roster out of camp and made his NHL debut on his 19th birthday, Troy, on October 12th against the Flyers. Fantilli scored his first NHL goal on October 21 in a 5-4 overtime win, of course, against the Minnesota Wild. It's like every quarterback that's ever played against the Vikings.
Yeah, the highlights are always against us.
Every highlight reel. He struggled some, like most rookies at the start of their careers, but by December, it really seemed to be finding his groove, where last December he had 13 points in 14 games during the month. He'd go on to play a total of 49 games in his rookie season because on January 28th against the Kraken, he had a really weird, kind of scary calf laceration where a skate blade, you remember that, cut his calf really bad. And he was supposed to be out 8 weeks. It ended up taking longer than expected to heal, though, and he was eventually shut down for the season. So he ended up concluding his rookie year at 12 goals, 15 assists for 27 points in those 49 games played. And if you remember too, like he also had to deal with coming into the league and adjusting to the NHL during that whole weird, icky Mike Babcock kind of thing last year too. So had a lot to deal with last year. It appears though his injury is fully recovered and there's not expected to be any lingering complications. So that's good. Apparently he's doing a full off-season training program. I guess to round out sort of his hockey background, Troy, he's also contributed to international hockey for Team Canada. Now, this is kind of cool. In 2023, Fantilli won gold at the World Junior Championships and then also at the World Championships, like the senior one, in the same year. He's the second Canadian to ever do so. Now, would you have any idea who the first was?
Crosby.
That's a good guess. No. Johnny
Toes.
Yeah, Jonathan Taves. So. Well, then, now this year, too, this is kind of sad. He was initially on the Team Canada roster for the 2024 World Junior Championships, but basically got booted. He got cut when more experienced or better, I don't know, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
Canadians were eligible to join after the teams lost in the first round of the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, that always happens.
So. Well, that's our background on Fantilli. Like you mentioned, really nice pedigree. Weird rookie season with a freak injury. That kind of stinks. But hopefully he takes a nice step forward in 2024-25. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Fantilli?
I mean, I saw him play at Michigan. He was fantastic. I didn't watch him very much at all in the NHL. And then with the injury, he just kind of got shut down.
Yeah. So. All right, let's take a quick look at his hobby market. So Fantilli is the 2023-24 Young Guns, which has just came out with extended series this past week. There are no PSA 10s as of yet. That'd be crazy if there were. Early sales of his raw Young Guns, like we talked about on last show, are about in the $45 US range. So pretty affordable if it's something that you...
Well, I was going to say that this might be one of those times where, hey, if you like them, I mean, that's not that expensive to get a raw Young Guns of a player.
Yeah.
I mean...
And there hasn't been a ton of Fantilli cards, though, with kind of the big step in the hockey card or world for players when their young guns come out, and that's where it's sort of the floodgates open on their market. And so I'm not really surprised that he has a little bit of an anemic top 5 at this point. But here's the top 5 highest selling Adam Fantilli cards to date, along with each's respective top sale. And remember, all sales made via eBay have been verified as paid for in Terapeak. So number 5 is a Team Canada in-person auto PSA authentic.
She's in person.
Auto 10 sold for $540 US last December. I love the notion of in-person autos, but you got to get the athlete, and they never want to do it because you're catching them, you're bothering them basically, right, to sign an auto, and they're just going to do it as fast as they can. So it's like you can't really see the auto on a card.
No, and well, plus some of them are a little more savvy now, and they know you're going to try to flip this.
Yeah,
and they won't do it because they don't want to be part of that. They'd rather get paid for their auto.
Number 4 is another Team Canada. It's a 2022 Upper Deck Team Canada Program of Excellence High Gloss out of 10 PSA 10. That's sold for $744 in April 2023. There's no picture.
No picture.
I hate this situation. It's the next card too, where the card is so rare that there's none listed, and this is the only one that it's sold. And for whatever, do you know why certain listings the picture goes away in eBay?
I don't know why. It's annoying. I hate it so much. And I wonder if it's a time frame deal. So when was this? April? So that's over a year ago. And then what was the other no picture?
But I think in 3 years, and they'll have pictures from.
Oh well, I don't know. Maybe they've purged certain pictures. I don't know.
Maybe they hate hockey card podcasters. eBay hates us. That's what it is. Well, I mentioned it. The next one, number 3, top of the top 5, is the 2022 Team Canada Juniors clear cut exclusives out of 5 that sold for $745 US in April of 2023. So again, same month. Once again, no picture. This is very exciting. Top 5 list, right? For all the YouTube. Number 2. Okay, now we have photos. So 2023-24 Young Guns exclusives out of 100. Do you think the Card Shop CA sold this card, Troy?
Yeah, no kidding. Card Shop
9,000 times in the background. The Young Guns exclusive sold for $1,096 US on June 30th. Pretty good sale for out of 100. And then, although there's a photo for number 1, it's not super exciting. It's 2023 Artifacts Rookie Relics Redemption Black, which has a patch tag but no auto. Sold for $1,176 on April 8th of this year. It's a redemption. How exciting!
Is there a reason they put tape over it?
Because I think people are paranoid that somehow like you'll use some Superman eyes to look
and
through
see through it. Okay, it's either that or to protect it from rubbing off. Maybe I don't know, but
maybe.
But I was like, man, am I missing something? Is there a way to see through these things?
People do that before. I don't know. Maybe there is. Like if you use like a big flash or something like that. So, well, there we go. Adam Fantilli, rookie deep dive in the books. I don't know. Would you say he's the second biggest rookie besides Bedard, or how would you rank? What would your ranking?
I mean, probably. I don't know. I just a lot of these guys I didn't get to watch, so that's what it upsets me.
Well, Troy, we were lucky enough yesterday to talk to Billy Celio from Upper Deck. Of course, he's the product manager for the flagship products, and with the big release extended out last week, we wanted to catch up with him, get his read on some of the cards in the set and some other opinions on hot topics in the hockey card hobby, in which he's very open and willing to do. So very much appreciate that. And without further ado, here's our conversation from yesterday with Billy. All right. We are very, very pleased and honored, of course, to have Billy Celio back to the Gong Show, coming back from a wild weekend in Las Vegas. And Billy, I don't know if you knew this, but for your appearance this week, you'll be happy to know you'll be receiving a 15% off coupon for the Old Country Buffet.
You down with OCB? Yeah, you know me.
You know me.
I was going to say, do they have those in California? Do they have Old Country buffets?
Man,
I think they just went out of business.
Memories. No, I'm still trying to get over Soup Plantation being out of business.
Yeah.
My favorite was Bonanza growing up. Do you remember that? Where you got the little like triangle with the
Bonanza, Ponderosa.
Yeah, Ponderosa.
We're all Midwest guys, right? So we know you're from Michigan. We knew that. Well, there's a lot to talk about today. You're fresh off a wild weekend in Vegas. We'll get to that soon. But last Wednesday, I don't know if you knew this, Billy, but Extended Series came out. Were you aware?
Oh, we're going to that. I thought you were going to talk about Fleer Ultra Wolverine coming out this Wednesday. My bad.
No, that's Troy.
Um,
That's
Troy's
me.
Mr. Marvel.
my bad. Yeah, yeah, really excited. I got the remnants of a case lying around my desk. You got me on a tight screen here, so you can't see how messy my desk is with all the cards, but it's just kind of going
Well,
through
hold
those.
on. We just learned something.
Oh no, you want
Yeah,
yep.
there
Oh,
we go.
see, you can see
Now we can
some
see your desk.
boxes in the background there. Um, you can see look, you guys got to give me a sticker. You can see Jeremy Lee's head right there.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now
Hi,
it's a
Jeremy.
sticker.
these
Hi,
are all
Jeremy.
these are all the stickers that people give me at the expo. I always tell them, if you give me a card or a sticker, I'll put it in my desk. So
Nice.
Look at you with
um
the producing there, Troy. That was really good.
Yeah, you like
Maneuvering
that?
of the
That's my
screen. Really
that's
proud of
why
you,
they
man.
pay,
how many
that's why you
weeks
pay
did
me
you
the big bucks.
train? How many weeks did you train to learn how to do that?
Well,
Well, you've heard about the button bar, right? That
considering it took me about 8 months to get the button bar,
It's
that
plugged
took a
in.
while.
There's no like sound effects yet, but apparently it is plugged in. So
Yeah, it's
we
here. Hold
consider
on.
that major progress here.
Right here. Well, here's the button bar.
Wow.
Well, I have heard, and Troy has too, lots of feedback on Extended,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been pretty awesome. People like it. So that must be a good feeling.
This is the first year that I don't it's not the first year, but this is the year, and it helped having Bedard, but it is what we envisioned it to be.
Hmm.
And we were able to kind of hold some rookies. Uh,
Yep.
and honestly, when I say initially, it initially wasn't supposed to be like a series three. That
Mm-hmm.
was just kind of the conception of the consumer, and it's kind of turned into a series three now. It'll still be, extended, but it, you know, everyone just cared about the young guns, and the young guns in the last number of years just hadn't been. We didn't get the Gunsel. We didn't get the Matt Murray or those late skating guys the last few years. So obviously we held a couple guys back, and
Hmm.
we were able to do that and add that to all the cool content in there. And like I guess the best way of putting it is it's performing the way that it was intended to perform,
Yeah.
as opposed to, it's the set that we expected it to be. No, it's been the same thing for the past 3-4 years. It's just now performing. People are getting the hang of it, and we had some strong rookie content.
Well, it was new too, right? So sometimes it takes a couple tries to kind of figure out what the theme or direction or overall approach to a set would be, I would assume.
Yeah, we added a lot more bells and whistles, I guess you could say, to the inserts, to the to a lot of the content. We wanted to look nice. It's not just, here's a bunch of like base cards and a couple plain looking inserts. Each pack has something that looks cool
Mm-hmm.
inside of it, to
Yep.
be honest with you. This is where
So
I'll wait for you guys to just open up a whole box in front of me so I can prove you. No? Okay.
no, we already did that, man. I did enjoy it though. It was a very fun product to open. So, do you think that it was important to hold Fantilli and Cooley back, and can you guys see yourselves doing that in the future to kind of even out the distribution throughout the year?
So whether it was important or not, I feel we needed to hold something back, because Series Two had Bedard, and
Mm-hmm.
it still had some new skaters, but just with the way our schedule works right now, and we haven't hidden anything. We've been straight up for the last 2 or 3 years saying it's holdovers in Series One. It has to do with shipping time and production time and all that. We Back in the day, and before things were printed all over the place, back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, literally the last 2 week or the first 2 weeks of the season, our pre-press department was working 24 hours. There were people here all night, like different shifts, like
Hmm.
probably a lot of overtime, just to be able to get those young guns in there, because you needed the images and all that stuff. So unfortunately, with the time that it takes for stuff to be printed and shipped or whatever, we just can't do that and still get the product out in late October, early November, and we felt that the timing of that was more important. So, that being said, we don't want to put like every single top young gun in Series
Mhm.
2. We felt that and honestly, at the time, and I think I told you guys when Series 2 came out, Carlson was a big deal. So like
Oh yeah.
we put the top two, we put what we felt at that time were the top two rookies in the Series 2, which then left Cooley and Fantilli in extended.
Mhm.
And
Okay,
I'm
we
fine
have a
with that
Young Guns
decision.
question though about that, because and this came from our Discord. I'll let Troy take it because it's goalie related, and he's VP of goalies here. But
Yeah, I guess I'm
uh,
the VP goalies. No, we just had this question. This happened before, and I just never knew about it. But there's a couple goalies, and I'm going to show their cards. This guy Dylan Garand and Dennis Hildeby that never actually played this season.
So there
How
is
does
a
that work? Do they?
there
Is
is
it
a
just because they're
rule.
at warm ups or
Yes,
preseason?
there's a rule if you are a backup that counts as being in a
Gotcha,
game. So that's
gotcha.
happened multiple times
That's
throughout
what
the
I figured. I
years.
figured there was other cases of this, and we just got asked about it. So that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and we're teeter-tottering on like everyone always like wants every rookie to have a young gun. And everyone's like, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, they're just milking it. They're just trying." No, like we've been told like we want everyone to try to have a young gun and we do our best
yep.
to be able to do that. Now, one thing that we did find out was we, for the first 3 years we tried to get 50 young guns each year and we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do it. All but like one of the first 3 years we just said, why continue this struggle? These first round cards are kind of cool. It gives you another opportunity to get
Mhm.
some affordable rookie cards. What people don't understand, like they'll be like, "Oh, this isn't the young gun." Yes, it isn't the young gun, but you understand it falls at the same rate as the young guns with the young guns. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the 30 and the 20 cards falling at the rate of the young guns. So they're still just as rare as a young gun because they're in the mix with the young guns. So you're not going to get 6 young guns in a box. You're going to get 3 point something uh, young guns and 2 point something first round draft picks. But it adds to the content and it also becomes less stressful, I guess you could say, at the end of the year trying to get 50 young guns or 49 young guns as opposed to 29 young guns.
I know that. Well, last time you checked in, you weren't in charge of setting the price. We know that, but
Correct.
I do think another thing that has helped extended series is it feels like the price the consumer, like Troy and I pay, collectors pay, is a little more in like the realm of reality at this point as compared to Series 2. And so it is nice you got some Bedard content, you got Fantilli, Cooley, acetates, and we're seeing it's different everywhere, right? We know that. But like 130 to $150 a box range, right, Troy? Is what
Yep.
we've been
Yeah.
observing here.
I was at an LCS here that had it for 130, so that was the
Oh
cheapest
wow.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I'm on a plane right now. Okay.
Mhm.
No,
But
it's
that helps.
yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely helps. And the other thing that helps is there is a lot of Bedard content. I think Grant was figuring out, for those you don't know, Grant's my boss.
Yeah.
Grant was trying to figure out the Bedard content. And I think you get like on average a Bedard every other box. And as
Hmm.
opposed to, like two per
We don't. But
one to two per case, when it comes to the young guns. So
Mhm.
there's a lot more out there, and I've talked to some shops, and because when it came out I was like, how's everything looking? And they're like, it's doing well because
Hmm.
it they're those inserts, I mean, unless they're numbered or something, they're obviously not going to do as well as the young guns. That's the prime rookie card. But just to have more affordable Connor Bedards out there, because what is there out there right now that's really in that lower tier price point? There's not as much. So this gives the opportunity for collectors to still get a lot of really cool Connor Bedard cards, whether it's like the retro or the UD3 or stuff like that, like Dazzler. No, was he in Series 2? Probably had a Dazzler in Series 2. He
yeah, it
did,
was
but
Series 2.
there was holographics. Our
Mhm.
coordinator did a great job of getting them in there as much as he could, not because we're trying to milk it, but because we're trying to give the people what they want. And that's affordable Connor Bedard cards.
What is a balance? And I have a kind of a big picture question about that. Troy and I have been tracking, or we've gone back and looked at going back to the early 2000s, and well, even before, we actually went back to 1951 to be super clear on that, and look at the number of rookies per player. Obviously, Gordie Howe had 1 rookie card, but then you get to McDavid had something like 500-600, and Cole Caulfield had 700 rookie year cards by the time it was all said and done. Beniers has like 920, and basically the pace for Bedard, based on how many cards he's had in a set and how many sets have been released, we estimate like 1,300 to 1,350 rookie cards. So where is there a point where it's too many, or where do you see all this going? How do you balance that?
Is there a chance there's too many? I don't know, because it's definitely something that we've thought about. It's definitely something like and we've asked that question. Um, but what we do compared to maybe what our competitors do
Sure.
with all the chrome and all the parallel, I would bet that even if there's as many as you're speaking of, which there is, because I know you guys do all your homework and stuff and look at checklists, but I would still say it's a lot lower than maybe some basketball rookie or some
Mm.
baseball rookie.
Yeah, like I'll
Um,
say it because you can't, but Prism will have like what 60 parallels or
yeah,
something
no,
like
there's
that.
there's more than 60 in Prism, because you got to count all the retail blasters, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness, I think there's like 70 to 80, and I'm not saying that to exaggerate, to talk bad about anybody. I'm just saying I think we counted it, and I think there's like 70 to 80 parallels in something like Prism. So yeah, it's definitely something that we think about, and we've asked the question, but we haven't heard too many complaints. Just, are there people out there that really are master collectors of a player, like they used to be? Because back in the day, there might have been, you know, 20 to 50 cards of somebody and you could
Yeah.
master collect it, but I don't think that the master collector of a player has happened in quite some time, especially when we have a set like OPC Platinum, like that has the 101s. You do
Mhm.
101s, good luck being a master collector.
Yeah.
That's tough. I try to do it with wrestlers, and I still can't even touch a 101. I'm excited when I get something numbered out of 10.
Yeah,
So
you better have Troy money if you're going to do that.
right, right. All that coaching money. They pay
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
pay coaches so much money nowadays,
Public high
right?
school coaches, we make a ton.
You were a soccer coach at one point, weren't you?
I did, and you want to know what's funny is I did it. I had another job too, just like Troy. And honestly,
Yeah.
out of my paycheck, I had a couple of assistants, and I don't even think I got to see half my paycheck, because I had volunteers come out, and I
Yeah.
paid them, because it's just like it's just more rewarding to go out there and do it. Now, Troy, on the other hand, I know he probably has these kids sign deals when they become professionals, because they're all
NILs.
like top notch skaters for Team USA and Team Canada. I know he's got some deals set up, but
I'm
I was a girls soccer coach at Lansing Eastern High School. I mean, I think I still hold the record for the most wins as a coach, but still,
nice.
I didn't get paid too much.
Oh, I'm still waiting for Upper Deck to come and do photo shoots with our team so we can all get young, or they can all get Young Guns cards.
Hey, don't sleep on that set. I'm pretty excited. I've seen what's coming
Yeah.
with the ladies. It's a really cool set.
Nice. I think at this point too, is it fair to say that now that we've had 3 flagship releases under the new configuration, that's a smashing success? I kind of feel like it is.
I like it. I
Yeah.
liked it from the start. I'm opening the box. Grant, again, I'll throw Grant out. We did a case check, and we all get together and kind of open the boxes, and everybody gets a chance to look at it, whoever was involved with building the product. And Grant's sitting there with, he's like, I have 40 different cards. I have
Hmm.
40 cards that are different. Like, there's so much variety to when
Mhm.
we're building, more than one insert per pack
Hmm.
in 24 packs or whatever. To have 3 inserts, you have to add variety, and I think that's a lot of fun. It's tough coming up with inserts, let me tell you, but it definitely adds to the pack opening experience to see a variety of cards in a pack, in a box.
Mhm. So when you start building a set like extended or any other set, what are your initial like big picture thoughts? Is there sort of a a theme that you think about? Is there an objective that you want to accomplish? I don't know if you can remember what you were
So
thinking about when you started building this set.
so one thing with extended that we've done for the past 3 or 4 years, which is actually going to be changing next year, but we take vintage designs. So okay, what vintage designs can we use that I think people will like get that feel good feeling? And something like bringing back Beehive was something I was like, man,
Mm,
I remember this
Yep.
design.
yep.
I didn't want it to look exactly like the wood border sort of thing, but it's pretty darn close. I know that. But I'm like, this is what I want it to look like. And the UD3 cards and the Hollowview cards and stuff, like those are pickups of designs with modern players. So the first thing when building extended is, what are we going to use? What are we going to do? We use the 0809 retro design. Um, Now I can say in the future, we're actually going to be reinventing vintage designs. So
Mm,
it'll still have like some vintage sets that we used to have, but we're going to reinvent it. And I've already seen some of the designs for next year's. And like I'd say, hey, give me this kind of card. It's a 90s like set, blah blah blah, early 2000s, and our designer's done a great job of like recreating the look and the
like
feel of
reimagining
the yeah,
almost.
exactly, reimagining the look and the feel of that decade, because there is kind of like a look and feel of different eras in trading cards, and
Well, that sounds like breaking news. Hey, Troy, you want to hit the breaking news sounder on the button bar, please? Yeah. See, see, Billy, this is what I this is
Sorry, I had
what
to
I
put it
think.
on mute. The dog decided it was time to break into the show, but she
Yeah.
went away.
yeah, one
Well, I
I
was gonna
think
say
one
it's breaking news, definitely breaking news. And you know what? You can go grab one of those designs and just throw it up real quick. We won't
Nobody's
show it.
watching. It's just the
No
three of
one's
us.
watching.
But we've thrown a lot of retro at you guys, and we wanted to kind of give our. I feel like things are getting retroed out,
Mm,
and we kind of feel that as a company. So we're trying to. We've got some of the best designers in trading cards. We've got Gene McLeod
Oh yeah.
doing it. We've got and our head designers have been here for years, and I think the same people have been making the cup and flagship for multiple years. So why not give them the opportunity to kind of uh, build their own repertoire, or what's the word I'm looking for? What's when you have a collection of something?
oh, portfolio.
Portfolio.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
put their own
Stop.
stamp on stuff.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, Jean doesn't like to do like Jean makes some amazing designs, but she doesn't like to repeat stuff.
Mm.
Hmm.
If you look at a lot of her stuff, it's like designs and inserts are only goes for like a couple years when she built it. So we're trying to incorporate that a little bit into our system, and our other designers are doing the same. So um, yeah, that's kind of how we're going. Do you like
Okay,
my mug?
there's a
I
yeah, I do.
love the mug. The
Yep.
Geyserman Lidstrom. 90,
That's
was
pretty
it
awesome.
98? 98. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
98. Okay, well, there's a couple of, I guess, the newer inserts that we wanted to run through with you. And we've covered them on the show, but I always like to get your read on it and kind of what you were thinking, what the intention was with them. So the first one is well, kind of a common one is the Seeing Red. And
Yes.
here's where I will give you credit. And I've noticed this in flagship probably the last couple of years is that I feel like even the common inserts now, the game is getting upped pretty good on them. Like they look really nice.
Yeah, I've got one right here. This is the original. And you've got the silver parallel,
Yep.
and yeah, when I saw this design, I was just like, wow, this looks really cool. And then I just knew adding the foil was going to make it look even better. I've heard people when I watched breaks on the first day basically saying, I wish they would have kept this for a case hit as opposed to a basic
I was going to
insert.
ask you that if you ever kind of look at one of your common inserts and be like, "Oh man, this turned out even better than I thought it would. I should have made it a case
Yeah,
hit or made
that
it a tougher chase."
that does happen, unfortunately. There's been some, and I can't think of I can't I mean I know what you're saying, and yes, that definitely has happened before. Oh, now you can see more on my desk there. But this is one where I think Yeah, the design came out real good. There's a gold blast. The thing is, there's a blaster exclusive of this too. That's got the gold foil, and so that just if it's a beautiful looking card, I think that might add some value to the blasters also. So I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm fine that it's kind of a common insert. I still think it looks really cool.
Hmm. Next one is Special Forces, and I thought I read somewhere that this has roots in MVP. Is that
Yes,
where it came from?
it is.
What
It
was
is
the
an
idea
old.
here?
It is an old. It is an old design. I thought I had one in my stack of cards here, but it must be somewhere else. Yeah, kind of a throwback to another design. Like I said, a lot of these are kind of bringing back old inserts.
Hmm.
Um, the acetates do fall one per box. I don't know if you're getting to the next one, but I absolutely love the other acetate insert.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. I'm kind of
Oh
saving
yeah,
that
we're
for
getting to
last
that one.
because
We're getting to
I
that
have a
one.
lot of questions about that one.
Okay,
Um,
but acetate with some spectrum deco foil, you can't go wrong. And I think these cards came out great, just real cool. And one thing that I have to give credit to is like you guys don't necessarily know or see this as much, but sometimes you'll get like a PETG or acetate card, and you can kind of see through it, and it just kind of takes away from some of the like coolness of the look of the card because you see like type from the back on the
Mm,
front.
yeah.
And I think they did a really good job hiding any kind of type or um, hitting it with some color in the background to make sure that you can't see through the cards.
okay, then there is the Beehive from 2003-04, and I wasn't collecting in the early mid 2000s. And can you explain to me the whole Beehive thing? Is it just like all cards in like a big frame, or how does
Well,
that work?
this is and Troy might be able to. This is almost an exact replica of an old Beehive card, specific year. And I just asked them to recreate it, and I
Hmm.
like the design. Um, so
Well,
it's
what I like about these, and this is my own personal preference, so take that for whatever it is a lot of the Beehives I've seen, like the Crosby and Ovechkin rookies, are portraits, and I don't love portrait cards, and so I did think it was kind of a neat twist on what I've typically seen to see the full sort of image of the player or most of the player.
yeah. Do I have one hiding in here? Man, I thought I had a little bit of everything in this stack of stuff I was going to talk to you, and I don't have one.
Mhm.
I have plenty of
And a
stacks.
lot of these do have parallels. Like a Beehive is like a red 2 out of 250. This would be the
Yeah,
gold out of 20, and then
yeah. I
there's
got the
base. Um,
the base and the rookie. Like even the rookie call out is like that's what it looked like. I
yeah.
changed it to silver. It was gold. I changed it to silver. And here's a little thing that you guys will learn. Um, so when you make parallels of cards, there is a this is on the form with other cards. It's not this isn't a 100 card set. So these cards are on a form with other cards. And you can only get so many colors on a form. So
Ooh.
sometimes you
What's
have
a
to make
form? Can you
a,
explain that?
a form is what they like the printing plates and everything. That's like the whole form. The 100
Okay.
card, like
Yeah.
that's a form. Um, so the cards that were on here, like the regular cards, they had a silver, what it's called a PMS. It's a like an extra color, and you only get so many colors. You can only add so many colors before there's too much, or you have to run it through the machine twice, and that's very costly. So on these cards, um, they're silver because they're on the form with another card that I felt needed to be silver more than the beehive, and I think the silver looks fine. And then the other parallels, the parallels just kind of match up with the in each form. Is that like the color? You change the
Yeah, I get what you're
color
saying.
out, and
Hmm.
like it could be red, it could be gold. So the other parallels of the other inserts that were on that form have the same color pattern to the parallels.
You're given a fixed budget. The more you can be efficient, the more you can spread around that budget and make the
Yes,
cards nicer.
you said that a lot more eloquently than I speak.
Okay, well now speaking of retros, so the dying breed of retros that we're gonna have a little bit of a different twist on next year. the SPX hollow view die cuts. So we typically see die cut retros in extended, or we have to this point. Now these are 97, 98, and then there's also a 98, 99 UD3 die cut as well.
Yeah.
How do you pick the years? Is it just a design you like, or
Yes.
is it like
It,
sequential
it,
with
it
the?
really it really is. It's a design I like, and I love what I love about this card is there's 3 photos. You don't see cards with 3 photos on it very often. And
Yeah.
they're all served to you differently. You've got the photo with the black and white. You've got the photo with the tinted version, and then you have a photo that's in 4 color. And I just really think that's unique. I love this design, and when I go through and look at stuff, I mean, we have a whole encyclopedia of different sets that Upper Deck built. And when I saw
Mhm.
this one, I'm like, I have to redo this at some point. And I found a nice little home for it this year.
Now the next one, yeah, this is the UD3, but we'll move on to the silver skates. So there was a comment that tons of people had about this card. Can you guess what it is?
And that it should be autograph. It looks like there should be an autograph on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh, so you've heard that?
So
Did
yeah,
your
it's
Detroit
kind of weird when
come
you
over
when you
and tell you
see it
about that?
when you see a design. Um, yeah, sometimes it looks different on when you see it
Mhm.
before than you like when you see it on a like computer screen and stuff. You don't see it, and then when you see it live like this, yep, I 100% agree. Looks like it should have an autograph right here.
Yeah.
So I understand what he was doing. He has like 3 lines going across
Yeah,
here.
yeah, and then
It just
it's supposed to show like a 3D effect, right? That so he's in
yeah,
front of some lines and behind the other bar or whatever.
it just came out weird that yeah,
Mhm.
I get it. That's a nice wild card that you have there though.
Yeah, our boy Kaprizov, and it's always a bonus when you go right to the heart when you put
Yep.
him in the reverse retro. By the way,
And
so
this is one that like I said we're having our designers reinvent
yeah,
inserts. This is one that was technically reinvented. Silver skates didn't look like this. I think I did silver skates years ago.
sure.
Probably like 5 to 10 years ago in another set. And we just kind of wanted to reinvent it.
Hmm. Well, that gets us to the big one, the one that I'm very excited about. I got one in the mail today too, and that of course is the Hockey Heroes. Now, I already asked you if you wish that you would have made a card a little more of a chase. This is the one people are responding to. There's no parallels of this, Billy. How come there's no parallels of this one?
Nah, I don't. You don't have to do parallels to everything. These came out like when I first saw these. They're absolutely beautiful. Like I said, it's like you can't see the writing on the back, which makes it even better. But
Yep.
we've done Hockey Heroes before. They used to be a staple in flagship, and I just wanted to reinvent it a little bit. And it still has that classic design, but on acetate, I think these came out amazing, especially with the Spectrum foil. Could I have made them rarer? Yeah, they probably would have been big hits, but I think there's another acetate type of card in extended that might be possibly more valuable and more sought after. So not every acetate
Mm,
card in extended needs to
mm.
be super super rare. So this one is, hey, let's give them a nice card. It's still you don't even get one per box. Like this and the special forces combined to be one per box. These are obviously uh, a little less rare, but than the special forces. But still, these
But
are
a fun
absolutely
set to collect too.
gorgeous.
And it's not
Oh
just
yeah,
current players, there's legends
yep.
on there too. And is this another example of reimagining an old design? Because hey Troy, if you want to go to the next one, I kind of found probably the right, going back
Yeah,
to the early 90s sort of
yep.
vibe.
Exactly the idea and the thought process was finding the like we found the old design. I gave examples in my brief, like, hey, I wanted to look similar to these, and our designer Nick did a great job
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we're showing a Brett Hall from 1991, 92. If you're listening. So here's my big question with this, and the immediate thought I had when I saw this: are you are you working to change the narrative, or and obviously people are responding to it? Are we on the precipice of a junk wax nostalgia era in hockey cards now, Billy? Is this happening?
I just there was during COVID, everybody was all excited about, old cards, old sets,
Hmm.
and that for about 2 or 3 years, everyone, the nostalgia part, like everyone's going back into their own cards and finding it. And we were, building stuff that kind of we thought people wanted to see. And then we remembered, like, hey, we pay these guys good money to
Mm,
make some really cool cards. So let's get back to what we do best, and
Hmm.
that's come up with our own designs.
I got mine in the mail today. My Krill of the Thrill. There we go.
Nice.
there it is.
Yeah, yeah. These are really really awesome. And right, so I think this is probably one of the favorites that we've heard from people in the set. Right?
For
People.
sure. And I got a Matty Beniers in my one box that I opened.
Oh,
Hockey
nice.
Heroes.
Yeah, we each got boxes. Mine sucked, and his was better. So, but I'm not bitter about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I only got like what, a Leo Carlson, Young Guns.
Stop it. This is gonna go sideways at fast if we keep going. Okay, so we got to talk a little bit about the Bedsy canvas here, Billy. There's been obviously no shortage of feedback on the card, and I'm just curious as to like what you've taken away from how the hobbies responded, good and bad and indifferent to the card.
Man, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Um, I can sit here and continue to defend it. Do I think maybe we could have come up with a little cooler kind of photo with it? Like maybe he's holding it out like this, and you see the card with, like I
Mm,
said,
Yeah,
yeah, it could have. I gave direction. Hey, I want him, holding his young gun, doing something, and this is what we got. They followed direction. I thought it was a clever concept and idea. Um, People are like, "Oh, canvas, should be this type of imagery and blah blah blah, unique imagery." And I would say this is unique imagery. I mean,
hmm,
canvas card, unique image,
yeah,
canvas card, unique image. I don't see it. Well, that's the all star, but yeah, you get some cool ones like this. Like that's
yeah,
pretty
the
neat.
Zach Hyman one I got. I
Oh, I got it
love
right
that one.
here. I got it right
Yeah,
here.
that is. I love it because
that's
the
amazing.
sign in the
I love
Yes.
that.
background is just amazing.
We do some unique imagery, and some of them people love, and
Yeah,
I've heard mixed feelings. I also think that the only people that uh, people complain, um, and those are the vocal ones.
sure.
Those
Mhm.
are the ones posting stuff. They complain about some people just complain about everything, or they hear someone complain, so then they just get on someone else's bandwagon and complain with them because, oh, I want to be part of the popular opinion here. So again, we've discussed this when it came out. I still think it's a cool original concept, which is kind of like the what canvas cards are supposed to be like. Could it have looked a little cooler? Could we have done something a little more with it? Probably. But it's something different. So
Yeah,
I'll
I'm not
I'll,
trying to
I'll still stand
rehash
by it.
it either. I was just more curious now that because we talked about it like right when the design came out, and just if you would do anything different going forward, or if you'd say no, I would do things exactly the same. And my defense to any of it, well, number one, whether a card is good or bad or is 100% subjective, right? There's no real answer to that, and there's no possible answer to that. And I like when you guys try new things, and as part of that, I accept that sometimes it probably won't work out, but if you play it too safe, then you never evolve. And so I can live with, because for every maybe things that doesn't hit as strongly as you would like, there's going to be some huge winners in there too, just by the fact that you're trying new stuff. And so that's where I give you guys credit in
Excuse me.
in that regard. But I was just curious if you would do anything different if you had a hot tub time machine. We could all go back in and
Well, I think the biggest gripe was I think people didn't mind the concept, but I think they felt this is too big of a card to do this concept.
Hmm.
okay.
They wanted something, you know, like, oh,
More
it'd been cool if like get a picture from like, of course everybody's pulling out like doing the Michigan or doing like different they all had different concepts and
Yeah.
stuff of what they felt that the card should be. Again, this card was made very early in the season. Remember how I mentioned that, Series 1 can't even, like, we used
Yep.
to be there for 2 weeks. It's
Yeah.
the same process now for Series 2 because Series 2 has to be built so early. So we didn't have much time to sit there and say, oh, well, we can count on the perfect image in the first couple weeks of the season. But no, this is, again, it was definitely thought out, planned. The photographer followed direction. As I said, could we have done something a little cooler where it's like different like depths
Yeah.
of the card and stuff? Yeah, probably. That's the first comment that I heard internally. But yep, that's
Okay.
pretty much all I got to say about it.
No, I think that that's more than fair. Anything else on extended that you think is noteworthy or people should know about? Like we said, the overwhelming response has been incredibly positive, and it's funny too because where I saw the narrative switch a little bit is pre-release, like when the checklist comes out and we're on the 4 or 5 day countdown. There's some sentiment out there that says, well, it's just a watered down flagship and it would be better if you just put this content in series 1 and series 2. And then that kind of all went away when people saw how I think it was a really fun product to open, and that it will be, in my opinion, a springboard for extended going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing that we didn't mention, if this is the concluding part of our conversation about extended, there's these little cards called acetate young guns.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
usually have been an Easter egg, but I don't think we're really hiding it this year. And the other
I was going to
interest,
ask you about that because I've noticed, and not just in other sets, that instead of not appearing on the checklist, that you're putting cards like this on the checklist, and then it just says unannounced pack odds. Is that a directional shift that you guys are making with, or will we still have Easter eggs potentially
so
going forward?
there's still some, like, even stuff like the photo variations. I think we actually put photo variant on the back. Like, it's
Yep,
it's easier to find.
Thank
So
you.
one
I got that.
one of them,
I
we're,
love
we're
that.
we're trying to make some stuff easier to find, but I'm getting tired, and I think a few of other people, we're getting tired of like case hits kind of being lost and missed because it's
Hmm.
not on a checklist. There's no hype about the cards beforehand, and I think it's doing a disservice to some of the cool case hit ideas and types of cards that we've built. So we've kind of stepped in the direction of putting a lot of that stuff out there. Like you said, the pack odds might not be in there, but we're gonna sit there and show you, like, hey, this
Yep.
is a new insert. Hey, here's 16-bit. How cool is this? This comes like, you're not even gonna get these in a case. Or hey, here's the swagnificent,
Hmm.
parallel, like stuff like that. So we felt that we should put that out there more, and focus on it and market it and show people, and it'll help the shops. The shops then will be like, oh,
Yeah.
here's I don't know what this is. Like, no, they'll know what it is,
Yeah.
and they'll be excited. Oh, you got one of these. Like, these are supposed to be so rare. So we're trying to add value to the boxes before they're opened, and
Mhm.
so we're putting a lot of the stuff out there now.
That makes total sense, and I totally understand why you would do that. Now, personally, I'm a huge Easter egg guy. That's kind of my jam, and so that makes me a little sad because I love maybe the romance of something unexpected, or chasing something that not a lot of people know about. But for every reason you stated, it kind of makes sense the direction you guys are going.
I didn't say
It's
I didn't say every Easter egg.
okay. Well, thank you. That makes me happy. Oh, now anything else about extended, or can we move on a little bit?
Well, wow, you want to move on from extended? No,
We got a lot to
I
get to,
think the
Billy.
product came out great. I think it came out great. I'm glad to hear the price point has, come back to earth, which
Hmm.
gives more
It's
people
huge.
access to the set. I can see this being, a big hit at an expo pretty soon. Whatever it was, September. We got a couple months, or not September, November. Ooh, no, everyone's
November.
gonna want Series 1, but it still might be a fun box for people. I bet you. Let me put it this way: I bet we see a lot of it ripped at the expo. I really do. I think
Well,
it's
that was a comment that I think Troy, you'd say the same thing. My biggest takeaway, or one of them, from the Spring Expo, it had nothing to do with the set. I think Series 2 is awesome. We didn't see a lot of people ripping it because they wanted like 400 Canadian a box for it, and that keeps people away. And in my mind, like when I had envisioned the Bedard Young Gun release, I was like thinking of, we would be at the expo, and you know how you guys have like your big booth, and then you've got your little fenced in area with all the tables. Like you wouldn't be able to see the carpet. There would be so many, people
Yeah.
trying to get that 101. There would be so many packs on the floor, and that part kind of made me sad a little bit. I'll just be honest, right? That was the circumstance. So now to have Extended come out, you have the big card with his Young Guns canvas. You got the acetates. You've got Cooley, Fantilli. It's a huge win for people. I don't see your sales numbers, but you can open a box and not feel like you have spent your car payment that month, right? For
Yeah.
a flagship product.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And like you were saying at the expo, you had Series 2, and then I think a lot of the other products that were on our list for the Rapper redemptions was 22, 23, and the thing is, everybody just wanted 23, 24. That's what everybody
Yeah.
was striving for at the time. So, if they bought 23, 24, yeah, for the price of what they were paying at the expo, you could have gotten 2 or 3 boxes of, the same stuff previous years. So,
Which we saw a
understand.
Trilogy. Like that's why I think part of the reason why Trilogy was such a success this year is that you had the Bedard um rookies in there too, and it was kind of coming off the heels of Series 2, where there was like what, 130 $140 a box, so people were
Yeah,
going crazy for Trilogy.
there's definitely specific price points that we know work. So,
Yeah.
that is telling what you're saying right now. Very
Mhm.
telling.
Okay, what else are you working on that's coming up in the near future that you're pretty pumped about?
Fleer Ultra Wolverine, except this is a hockey card show.
Wait. Can we stop there though? I love 2021 Fleer Ultra. I wish it would have not been solely E-Pack personally, because I would have loved to open it. Is that coming back, or is that the EX in its stead this year, or why was that a one and done?
I don't think it was a one and done.
All right.
I don't know
Oh,
if
nice.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say and not say,
No
because I don't know.
comment. No comment.
Billy,
Because
nobody's listening. It's just
it's
the
an
three of
E-Pack
us.
release.
This is our
You're in your happy place. We're all friends.
okay. Good.
Yep. And just so you guys know, here is the Bedard one of one. No, just kidding.
What I would say this too, and we've had Gene on a couple times now, and Gene is kind of Fleer to me, and I think having her at Upper Deck, it's sort of a no brainer that you have to have Fleer products, because so much of
I,
those designs are
I
tied
think
to
you'll
her in
see.
arena.
I think you'll see more Fleer Ultra in the future. I'll just put it that way.
Thank you.
That's the good politically correct way of putting it.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you. Well, all right. What up besides Wolverine?
Billy looked
What
off to
else is
the
coming
no.
out?
Billy just looked off to the side. Like, is Grant just staring over at you
Oh
right now,
no,
like
no,
giving you the thorough? You're like,
Billy
no.
Billy goes out. He goes for an interview on the Gong Show and straight to HR after that.
It hasn't happened, but I've
All right.
gotten some flack here and there for other things. Um, what's on for me here? Um, that is a great question. I'm trying to think of what we've pre-launched recently.
The whole. Did you do the Fleer EX deal? Is that
EX
fall?
Century, I built EX Century,
Yeah.
but that's not coming out yet. I mean, we're still playing catch up. There's still a couple products that I know people want to talk about from 22, 23 that I'm not allowed to talk about, or at least one that I'm not allowed to talk about. Um, the other one might have already talked about it.
Can we talk super hypothetically about that? I know you're not going to say anything, and you would never get yourself in trouble. But I did hear an interesting theory on the cup, and given the whole vibes beat, now it got a little bit better with Wyatt Johnston, as he had a really good year and Slavkovsky might be coming around. He just signed like a big deal today, I saw.
Yeah, he
But
did.
The idea of, do you think Upper Deck would ever consider combining
Nope,
2022 and 23 of the cup?
not a chance. We
Okay.
heard those rumors a couple years ago. They keep saying that. We're just look, we're getting this stuff out there. We're trying to get stuff signed. It takes a while to get these cards printed. It's a high end product. There's a
Mhm.
lot involved, and that's all.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I,
I
yeah.
am. Oh, the draft happened.
Yeah.
Excited,
That's what I want to
excited
talk about.
about
So you were
that.
in Vegas. Now tell everybody why you were in Vegas.
So I was not there for the draft, actually. It just happened to be there the same time I was there. I go to International Fight Week with UFC every year. It's one of my vacations, and it's one of those vacations that's like, hey, I don't want to be bothered. Like this is my fun. This is my thing, running
Mhm.
around, meeting all the fighters. I'm a big UFC fan, and so that's what I did.
Nice.
I did hang out with the Upper Deck crew once everything was said and done with what I was doing. Um, but I'm gonna tell you what, uh, I saw a lot of real cool stuff. I don't know if you
Mhm.
guys saw, but we were
Oh,
on the
the whole sphere
Sphere.
thing. It's like, I was gonna
Oh
say,
my
how can you
gosh,
avoid it? You have this giant orb that looks like the Death
amazing!
Star with Upper
Well, we
Deck's
did a
logo
segment on it. I like sitting there and did like 10 minutes on
plastered
the
everywhere.
spear.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. Like, the Las Vegas with my hotel and I had a view of the Sphere from my hotel, but the not the Sphere, what's the big the
Oh, the eye, the big wheel
The
or
bit
the
no, the big,
Stratosphere?
the
stratosphere.
stratosphere, yeah, I
Yeah,
was saying there's a
stratosphere.
sphere in there somewhere. The stratosphere where people sit there and ride a roller coaster that, I would never ride in my life because it,
No,
like, hangs over the edge, and you'll never
that's
see me on one of those.
crazy people do that, Billy.
Oh my
Crazy people.
goodness. I did get to see the sphere every day when I was, driving around there, and it was amazing, and to have Upper Deck, on a big platform like that,
Mhm.
and from everything that I saw inside and outside, they absolutely crushed it. The hockey market is alive. I know we had a couple shops inside the sphere, I think, selling product, and I think
Okay.
they almost ran out day one of product because
Nice.
like everybody was excited about it.
Well,
Now,
I wanted to ask you about that. Like, I know this isn't your department, but I was curious if your marketing department has communicated through the organization, like what the overall, like. So I'm a marketing guy. I'm gonna use like brand lift, right? So like how much of it by having Upper Deck's logo literally on the outside of the sphere and so prominent. Have you guys found a way to gauge like how many new potential collectors you're able to reach and that sort of stuff?
actually, we only did that so I could make a additional Young Gun canvas card for Connor Bedard next year. And it'll be the picture of his card on the sphere. So there's your new canvas Young Gun card for Connor
Nice.
Bedard. Um, no, I'm there. Trust me. Our marketing department has definitely stepped it up uh, recently, and they're definitely tracking and seeing, um, what's been hitting, what's not been hitting, what are different ways that we can go out there and get the word of products out there. I know I just did a video for extended. I have to redo it because got a little congestion. It didn't sound very good, so we're gonna
Mm.
redo it tomorrow. But they're gonna show it a different way than what we've been doing, and I think it's much more professional. I think it's gonna look really nice, and I'm excited of the steps that our marketing department has taken recently. And obviously, they took the big plunge of doing something like putting Upper Deck out there in on the
Yeah.
sphere. And the draft, it was a big draft. There's a
Mhm.
big rookie. I'm obviously speaking of the number 2 pick from Michigan State University. Go green right there. Um,
How do you say his name?
I don't know. I saw him play a couple games. I don't want to mispronounce it, so I'm just gonna say I don't know. I guess that's the better way of saying it.
Well, yeah, well, now you're
Um,
the flagship guy, and
oh, I'll know soon enough. Like
yeah.
I just wasn't paying attention. I'll put it that way. But I mean I've seen him live, and I still don't want to mispronounce his name.
So our read, Billy, is that next year will likely be a little bit of a different Young Guns situation. than this year was, where we were sort of spoiled. Last year we have Bedard and Carlson and Fantilli go right from the draft to opening night on the ice. It doesn't. I don't know if Celebrini was the youngest player in college hockey last year, so we'll see what happens there. I don't think it would be like a super shock if he went back to college for another year, but it doesn't seem like we're going to have that new blood sort of high hype star power, however you want to put it, from the draft, and it'll be more the holdover guys, the guys that debuted in the spring, etc., like a Matt Rempe or something like that.
Well, that's all Series 1's going to be anyway. That's all it usually is.
Yeah, but I mean by
That
Series 2, I'm
that
thinking.
being said, we plan this stuff far ahead of time. We've got content. We add content in case, like, we know there's the possibility he goes back to college. I don't think it's going to happen. I think
You think he'll play it?
I think he'll play. And
Did
then
you
got
guys sign him as a signature or a spokesperson, or
I
have you
don't do
announced?
I don't do talent acquisition, so I'm not saying that in like I'm not the talent acquisition people,
Okay,
so I don't know if we've signed him. I'll just get an email saying sign
sure.
this person sort of thing. So that being said, there's potential for other players in there too. I think Will Smith, his future teammate, there's a lot of hype around him also, but we go into building every set, we prepare for everything. So there's stuff that we've prepared for. There's stuff like in series 1. Okay, we know that we're not going to have the number 1 pick. So what do we do? Well, we added more content. Now you're going to have holograms back that are going to be exclusive to series
I'm
1.
very excited about
And
those.
yeah,
Very, very
in a
excited.
living set. Don't think that we haven't thought of stuff to do for series 2 also, in case something like that happens. And our job is to add content, and I think we do a great job of that.
Have you seen the hologram in person yet?
Not yet. I've seen the design, but I haven't seen a
Yeah.
physical card or anything.
Okay.
But what
All
I
right.
love about that is it's going to be a living set. So it's not there's not going to be a Connor McDavid every year. There's not going to
Yep.
be a Sidney Crosby every year. There's going to be it's a living set, and there's not like a
I
million
love that.
copies
I
or
love
anything like
that
that.
idea. I love that idea. I hope you guys do more and more of that, because I think that allows you to strike a balance between using designs that work, but not having like the 17th McDavid PMG.
Exactly. And that was the thought process. And I think there's 30 cards in the checklist. So worst case scenario, my thinking is, well, worst case scenario, there's always going to be some veterans that didn't have it yet, but there's got to be at least 30 rookies from the previous year that aren't going to be in that set for Series 1 that we can put into the next year. So that's the worst case scenario.
Or if you
There-
had like a Legends product, you could use that for the Stan Mikitas or something like
oh,
that too.
of course, yeah. It could be a carrier like. Maybe Tony puts some of that into SPA down the road, and add the legends, because we try to stay away from legends in something like flagship. We don't think it needs
Gotcha.
it. But like something like SPA, that might be a great idea. Maybe it's already been done. I don't know. I can't say, no, I'm just kidding.
All right. Well,
I
any
don't
other
want to give you all the credit. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Troy, do you have any other questions for Billy?
No, I'm good. We
Okay.
got to the one that I felt like I needed to ask about the young gun goalies, so that was good. But no, I'll say this: Extended was a lot of fun. It was a lot better than I had more fun with it than I thought I would. It was fantastic, and so congratulations, good job on Extended.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the one question you would have, Troy, has to do about goalies. Wow.
Yeah.
Goalies, and here,
Shocking.
let me pull some Marvel cards out, and we'll go off the rails on Marvel stuff. And
Now we're at the part of the show, Billy, where it's we call it the secret hour, and it doesn't
Okay.
have to be an hour. It can be just like 5-10 minutes, but
Perfect.
we all share deep secrets about the organizations we work for. Now, good thing is Troy and I don't have jobs, so we can't do that. That kind of leaves it up to you
Mm,
to
right.
share all the basically inside information and deeply held secrets by Upper Deck. So we're going to turn the mic over to you and let
Well,
you share with the community what you have to say.
I have to show something off.
Nice.
This is an exclusive to me. Wait, what happened there? This is exclusive to me. Now here's my keyboard. Okay. Here's my keyboard. You see the enter button right there? Where is it? Sorry,
Yeah.
right there. There's the enter
Yeah.
button. So that's a normal person's enter button.
Yeah.
Here's my new enter button. This big, and it works. It works. You plug it in, and you know what? You get a
What's the
little
story behind
frustrated.
that?
Just because I sent it to one of my coworkers and said this is hysterical. If you want to let off some steam and hit the enter button after an email, and
It's like the easy button
next-
from Staples. That
exactly.
was
So
easy.
next thing I know, I'm like, what is this? And then I'm like, oh, there's no way it works. And I plugged into I thought I'd have to download some stuff. Nope. Just plug it
Works.
in there. Boom, enter. They're like, there's no way it works. I go, yes, it does. And
That's
so yeah,
pretty awesome.
that's my new favorite. That's my new
sweet.
favorite thing at my desk.
Okay, I
is,
lied. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Are you at all surprised that the Bedard Young Guns outburst hasn't been pulled yet or surfaced yet?
So yes and no. I thought it would because I've had good and bad luck with one-on-ones. Like I think we had in one set like a cut signature that was like the king of something, and it got pulled within the first hour of breaking.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm just like, one of the biggest cut signatures in the set.
Yeah.
And then we had the Sidney Crosby in the buybacks. That was a good like 6 to 9 months that came, and some kid got it for Christmas, and he was a Pittsburgh fan. I'm like, that's
Merry
really
Christmas.
cool.
Yeah, there's cool.
What I will say, and the reason why it doesn't surprise me potentially is, yes, there are people buying Series 2, but there's also a lot of people holding Series 2.
Good point.
This is, the first time in a while that I can recall people buying cases to hold. Even my impatient friends that will like want to buy it and then they end up just ripping it anyway. They've still held on to it. So yes and no. I think there are a lot of people holding on to the product. I think that there's potential that the Outburst Gold is just sitting at my desk right here. And no, it's not.
It's not. We don't
but-
need that. We don't need that.
Yeah.
The
But
internet to
I
lose its
know
mind.
the little sizzle thing that you're gonna put like for the title is the Bedard Golden 101 at Upper Deck.
At Billy's desk.
Listen to the show.
Billy Celio shares all Upper Deck secrets on the way to HR.
Yeah, right. Don't make me laugh. I got a little cold.
All right, man. Well, you're coming off a big weekend. We're keeping you late. Thank you for the info. Good job on Extended, and I'm sure we'll chat with you soon.
Yep. Yeah, Grant will be listening to it, and so he'll critique everything.
He'll have
I do.
notes.
Yep.
Will he have
Thanks,
notes
guys.
for us too? Is he going to critique us too?
He
Probably.
could. He doesn't look. I'm not gonna lie. There might be some fast forwarding done every time we hear about what the greatest number.
Almost
whatever.
greatest player.
Are you guys
Oh.
done with that yet, or is it
No,
still
20.
going?
You gotta like go to 22, I think.
Troy's going to
No,
die on
23.
that flag
Yeah.
right there.
Hey, I learned stuff. I love it.
Like, hey,
Okay.
what's a good way to give myself 2 years of content on a show?
Yeah.
Hey,
well,
vintage. We need vintage hockey, so that's a good way to get it.
No, there's
it's not just Upper Deck that milks content, apparently, right? All right. Before we get, we're going to be in HR in a minute. We don't even have HR, so we'll talk to you later. Bye, Billy.
sounds good. Later,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you, Billy.
Well, I thought that was a good talk, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. You can kind of read through the tea leaves on a couple things.
Yeah. And he's a tough one. Tough nut to crack when it comes to secrets, but we're going to work on it. Don't worry about that. We'll get him to divulge everything to us. It's our master plan. Sinister world of evil hockey card shows that we are. Thank you very much to Billy for coming on, and I always look forward to his conversations with us on our show. All right, Troy, it's time for our PWCC weekly preview. Of course, PWCC/Fanatics Collect. It's got to be any day now. This is sort of awkward, right? Going back and forth. But
Yeah.
very soon, Fanatics Collect. They're a sponsor of our show, and we're thankful for their support, of course. The July premiere auction begins tonight. So what a 4th of July surprise. There'll be some fireworks, Troy, in the premiere auction starting tonight.
They don't have a preview for that, right? That just shows up.
Yeah. Do you like that, or do you wish they? I wish they would. It would help us, but
It would help us, but I get why not. It's and the
runs for
premiere
2
runs for
weeks.
the whole. Yeah, it runs for two. I was gonna say the whole month, but it's like a couple
Weeks.
weeks. So it's not like a surprise. I mean, they show it and then you start bidding, and you got time.
Well, it gets you to go there because
Yeah.
I'm always very anxious to check it out. So I'm very excited to see which hockey cards will be included this month. But along with the premiere, the current weekly auction is live as well. And you and I looked through the auction. We picked out our favorite vintage of modern cards, and we're going to roll through them right now.
Let's do
The
it.
first card that I picked, Troy, on the vintage side, is a 1970-71 OPG Daryl Sittler.
Yeah.
It's a rookie, PSA 8. So here's why this stood out to me. I was listening to, I think, Cartel and Hit 'em High on their podcast, Hockey Card Hangover.
Yep.
And they were, I believe one asked the other question about who are the greatest Maple Leafs of all time. And I thought like Sittler was mentioned as potentially the greatest Maple Leaf.
He's
I could
definitely
be totally
in the
wrong.
running.
I'm sorry, Josh and Cartel, if I completely made this up, because I might have, but I don't know. It just that triggered me seeing this card when I saw this card that I want to kind of look back a little bit into Sittler and see why people might think that way. So if I'm wrong, guys, my apologies on that. Have we profiled him much? I couldn't remember that either.
Yeah, I think I do think we looked at this card a long time ago, and I think we mentioned him. We've definitely looked at him.
You told the
For
story about his whole captain thing, which I'll get into very briefly again, because I did remember that part. So it's a PSA. The card is a PSA 8. Pop is 182. Now there's only 24 graded higher. So there's not. If you're thinking, well, PSA 8, I'll get a better copy. I don't know. There's 22 PSA 9s and just 2 PSA 10s. So it's a real deal copy of this card at a PSA 8. Most noticeable issue with the card for me, Troy, is it's off-center to the right a bit. There also might be something going on with the right edge, too. I don't know if you had a chance to look into that, but I can never tell sometimes if it's the holder you see the little bit on the right edge there, if there's some.
Yep. To me, that looks like that looks like more the card.
More the card. Okay.
Yeah. So be aware.
Surface and print quality look great, though.
Yeah,
Very nice picture of Sittler. Looks very happy.
Yeah.
In this photo, doesn't he? There's no weird hockey mouth on this one. The 1970 set has the kind of weirdish cotton balls or spotlights in the background.
Spotlights? I just don't get the decision. I'll never understand that decision.
How much better would this card be if it was just a yellow background?
Or just a color match background or something.
Yeah, but without the cotton balls.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of them as much as I appreciate this card and appreciate Sittler, so I could get past it to own this card. That's for sure. Now, Sittler was a center for the Maple Leafs who played with the team from 1971 to 81-82. Then he finished his career by playing 3 seasons with the Flyers and 1 with the Red Wings. He scored 484 goals, added 637 assists for 1,121 points and 1,096 games played. His number 27, which was also worn by Frank Mahovlich, was retired by the Leafs. So that's kind of interesting how they retire one number for 2 players. But I totally agree with that. You can't.
Well, yeah. Plus, they were the stubborn holdouts, right? The Maple Leafs said, we're not retiring anyone's numbers. And finally, just recently, last 10 years, maybe they started doing it. But you do that, and you have so many great players that have come up to your organization, you're bound to run into where you got. This probably isn't the only number where they've had to do it for 2 people.
Now, here's where we get into the backstory a little bit. There's a whole bunch of drama that occurred with Sittler and the Maple Leafs. It's a really fascinating read. It would take an hour for us to go through it on our show, and our show's already getting super long as it is. So I'll just direct you to even Wikipedia or any books or articles about Sittler's time with the Maple Leafs. But to give a 30-second overview, he butted heads pretty often with the ownership and management with the Leafs. And it got so bad that when the franchise traded his good buddy and line mate and Jaromir Jagr hater, Lanny McDonald, Sittler literally ripped the C off of his chest.
Yeah.
And gave it back. And basically his justification was that the captain is the go-between between players and management, and I have no desire to talk to management. So I don't want to be the captain.
Yep.
Now, is he the greatest Leaf? I'm not qualified to answer that. I don't know. Would love to hear some thoughts. We have a lot of people that listen in Toronto. and I'm sure have opinions. So please message in the comments and
Yeah, he's top
Instagram
2
or-
in everything. Or for goals, for Maple Leaf players, he's second in goals.
I've heard like
Assists.
Johnny Bauer maybe, or
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you got Matt Sundin, you got Austin Matthews
Mahovlich.
should probably get in that discussion if you really want to include everyone.
Mitch
But,
Marner.
Oh God, don't talk about it. I'm so out on that guy after that play at the end of the game. So Matt Sundin has the most points by a Maple Leaf.
And you had some other guys like Wendell Clark and Doug Gilmore,
Yeah.
and all that stuff too.
Yeah, oh, yeah, awesome players.
Last sale of a 1970 OPG Daryl Sittler PSA 8, $848 back in May. All-time high, $1,113 in the PSA or PWCC Weekly back in May 2020.
So it's kind of held its value. I mean, down obviously.
But just not a lot of them.
Yeah.
You got a current bid?
$420, and I know someone did that as a joke, and now they're stuck with it until it gets.
Oh yeah,
it might have changed. I looked that up a couple hours ago.
Well, you have some interesting selections.
Yeah, I might get canceled. I'm sure we'll get some message about how we're not true hockey fans and how could you put these cards on here, but I don't care. This to me is fantastic. So in the PWCC, yes, there are 2 Muppet hockey cards, and I didn't even know Muppet hockey cards were a thing, but I'm going to say something. The art on these is great. Like, here's the first one. It's a 1994 Cards with a Z. The Muppets Take the Ice, the Stanley Cup #1. So here it is. SGC 9, Pop 101, just 1 graded higher. I think this looks fantastic. Kermit's got the cup. Miss Piggy's ready to throw down. Animal's ready to go at it. Obviously, Fozzie Bear is injured and he's got like a pillow or something. I don't know what's going on. And Gonzo's hanging out there. Second card.
Would Gonzo be Mitch Marner?
Oh, man. Just slowly watch it.
Well, can we talk about how you changed your tune on these cards? Now, can I talk about like I'm going to summarize your text messages to me the other day.
I know.
And we're going to go in sequential order here. It starts in like, oh my God, I can't believe there's Muppet hockey cards. Then it's like, well, wait a minute. These are kind of cool. Oh my God, there's a website. I totally love these cards. You went from hating them to loving them in about a 20-minute
Yeah, because I found a website that had them all, had pictures of them all, not on TCDB. It's like it was actually a Jim Henson like Muppet Wiki or Muppet Wiki that had all the pictures, and they're fantastic. Here's the second card that's in the auction. 1994 Muppets Take the Ice, Kermit the Frog, but the actual name of this card is the NHL. It's like the NHL logo card. It's not like Kermit's card. He's got a different card. But they put
when
him
did the
on
NHL switch its logo to go up instead of down? Because I would have thought by 94.
I remember the exact, like, I remember the switch. I don't know the year, but the reasoning is that we wanted to go up because we're going up. We're like progressing, we're going to the future, and up is better than down was one of the main reasons.
Like subliminal messaging or whatever.
Yes. I remember that being a big part of it. Okay. So here we go. We got these Muppet cards. I'm going to go back to this one. So while all you clowns out there are chasing your 90 score Stanley Cup Hollow, just go for it. Get the 94 Stanley Cup Muppet card. Man, it's probably this. Shots fired. I'm just kidding.
This is a big feature of the hologram.
And it's a great card, and I would love to chase it too, but I don't. So I'm joking. Don't send me hate mail. But again, just a fantastic. So let's learn about this set. And if you go to TCDB, they actually have a picture of the sell sheet on there. So it's fantastic. And you can see the sell sheet. And then if you Google Muppet hockey cards, you'll find that wiki that has a list of all the different pictures of the cards. So Jim Henson's Muppets Take the Ice NHL trading cards released by Cards with a Z distribution in 1994, Josh. 80 card set.
Wow.
Includes cards to explain hockey positions, equipment, and rules, and provide team facts and history of 26 hockey teams, except the Minnesota North Stars because they were out of the league and we didn't get one. These were sold in packs of 8, 36 packs to a box. The cards featured Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Gonzo, and Animal. So it featured all of them. There's also, this is great, there's also 3 cards that have parallels. They're called Tech Chrome cards. So I'm assuming Chrome. They just added Tech Chrome. Might be a technology. The 3 Tech Chrome cards are the Stanley Cup has one. So is that a rival? Is that a rival to the 90s corner? I don't know how rare these Tech Chromes are. I couldn't find odds. There's also a Tech Chrome of the Vancouver Canucks and a Tech Chrome of the Rangers card. And I'm like, what?
Seems random.
Well, it's not random. They were the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh.
So that's why they get their own.
All right, now who's your favorite character here in this group?
Man, I don't know. I loved them up. I watched them Muppets all the time as a kid. I mean, I would probably go with Animal because I think he'd be the best hockey player because he wouldn't care. I think
he'd be your enforcer, right?
Yeah, he's your enforcer. If you look at the Animal card, I should have brought up more pictures of the set, but I wanted to focus on these cards. I think he's got one with like a chunk bitten out of a hockey stick or something. Like he went nuts and flipped out.
We have to very quickly go through and do association. So who does Animal remind you of? Like what NHL player would you?
Well, right now, Matt Rempe probably just uncontrollable, doesn't care what's going on.
Fozzie Bear.
Mitch Marner. Cowering in the corner. Kermit's like Sid Crosby. That's who Kermit would be.
Gonzo.
Ooh, I don't know.
Zegras? Is that a good one?
Yeah, Zegras. It has to be someone goofy. So Zegras. Miss Piggy. I don't know. Miss Piggy.
Yeah,
I don't know. Oh, I feel like whatever I say will be
I'd be wrong.
Not right. So Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy's their own. Miss Piggy special. Okay. Okay, so these cards, there's two in the auction, right? We got the Stanley Cup and we got the logo card with Kermit. Both cards are graded SGC 9s. Both cards look really nice when you look at the cards. Obviously, whoops, not yours. And again, these are those ones that have full color backgrounds. So you'll usually see some whitening somewhere. I mean, this top left corner there is a little bit, but nothing egregious. Bottom right corner on the cup. Bottom left on Kermit here, the logo card. But really good top here, some edges, there's some chipping, but again, for full color cards from the 90s, they look great, I think. Pictures of the card look great. Images look great. I couldn't find any sales of the SGC, or there's actually PSA graded copies too of these cards, but I couldn't find any of the sales. I don't think there have been any sales. So your guess is as good as mine for how much these will go for. I'm guessing not a lot. Current bid, the Stanley Cup has a bid of $10 US, and the Kermit logo card has a current bid of $7 US. But go look at the set. There's
always something different in PWCC Weekly, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
Okay, last vintage card is a 1984 OPG Steve Yzerman rookie PSA 9. I picked this one, Troy, because the PSA 9 or the PSA 10 version of this card gets very spendy, like $4,000 spendy, and there's not a ton with only a pop 126 of the PSA 10s. So I thought it might be a great option if you want to own a pretty nice Yzerman rookie that does not cost $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
The PSA 9 pop count jumps from 126 at PSA 10 to 875. So there is, of course, a much bigger pool to choose from. 5,603 total copies of this card have been graded. Now, when concessing, it's like the 47th word that doesn't exist that I've said. When assessing the condition of this card, I look at these when there's 875 of them. It's like you got to try to figure out like where in the range of PSA 9s does this card fit. And yeah, I mean, that can be tough to do, right? So I always just go look at as many of them as you can. And the centering is pretty good on this card, although not perfect. There is some registration issues. The printing plates are off a little, like you can see a lot of the fine lines. 84 had a lot of these fine lines, like almost 79 does when you're looking at the Gretzky rookie.
Where is the printing? Do you think the centering is off top to bottom? Or left to right? Like I think the left to right looks good. Oh, it is. It is. I see it. Never mind. I got it.
It's got the OPG rough cut, which I really love on the card too. All in all, though, it's a pretty nice, I think, copy of this card. Yzerman, of course, is the captain. Played for the Red Wings from 1983-84 until the 2005-06 season. Now, Troy, if you remember, in 1986-87, at just the age of 21, Yzerman was named captain of the Red Wings, and he'd hold onto that title for over 1,300 games and I think 19 years until he retired. He's the longest serving captain in North American sports history.
Well, now he's
3
the
times.
captain, right? He's the GM.
Yeah, it's captain's captain. It's like, Your Honor, Your Honor. Remember that from Caddyshack? 3-time Stanley Cup champion, won the Conn Smythe in 1998. Also won the Selke, Masterton, and Lester Pearson Awards. Is a Hall of Famer. Number 19 is retired by the Red Wings. 692 goals. I hate when people do that. It's like, play 8 more goals.
700.
Yeah. 1,063 assists for 1,755 points and 1,514 games played. He was a good hockey player. Now, Troy, last sale of 1984, OPG Yzerman PSA 9, 385 US on June 30th, all-time high 1,250 in March of 2023. And you might, well, how could it go from like 400 to over 1,200? Again, with these vintage cards, and there's 875 PSA 9s. Now, some of it can be market timing, but there's also probably a few 9s that you'd be hard to convince are not a 10. And so those will typically go for more. So you have to really do an assessment and kind of try to figure out where it should fit in that price range. But you got a current bid?
$310 US. I had to look it up
Sweet.
again because I wanted to make sure it hasn't changed.
Okay, we're going to move on to Modern. I'm pretty excited about this one I picked. And not that it's a real spendy card, but I just think it's awesome. It's a 2020-21 The Cup Martin St. Louis Day with the Cup Auto PSA 10 Auto 10. I love the way, Troy, that the Cup does a twist on their Day with the Cup cards where they use that same type of filtering that they do with the renditions cards to make them seem more like paintings than photographs. A couple years ago, Troy, I wouldn't even have tried to pronounce St. Louis name like that. I probably just would have called them like Martin St. Louis. Yeah. I think we're evolving now, though, and I think French is seeping into us at glacier speed. Speed.
After talking to Sylvan, I feel like my French is regressing again.
So I'm going to really give it a try here and totally embarrass myself. But with the French pronunciation, is it like Martin Saint Louis?
Yeah, I always say Martin. I always say Martin St. Louis is how I say it. But Martin is probably not right. It's probably got a little. I think
it's Martin, right?
Martin. Oh yeah, like Martin Brodeur. He's French, I think, or French Canadian.
And then I think instead of like Saint Louis, it's Saint Louis, right? Or is that more? I don't know. Somebody will. We'll hear about it. Right? We will hear about it. I kind of feel like when I was really nervous to do that because I don't want to be like an American actor, like over embellishing like French in a movie or something like that. I sort of. How about we just call him like Marty STL?
STL.
Yeah. So the card shows Marty holding the cup over his head, and what looks like after they won the Lightning won the cup in 2004 over the Calgary Flames. So what's the one thing, Troy, that players always comment on regarding the cup when they first win it? Like a lot of players, it's like the first thing they talk about after. Yes. Do you know how much it weighs?
I don't know. I know it's heavier than you think it is.
34.5 pounds.
Yeah, I knew it was pretty hefty.
So our boy St. Louis scored an overtime goal, Troy, in the Stanley Cup Finals Game 6 that ended up forcing Game 7. So he had a big part in the Lightning winning their first Stanley Cup. Also in 2024, he'd win the Hart and Art Ross trophies. So he became the 8th player to win the Stanley Cup, Hart, and Art Ross trophies in the same season. Yeah. So I think if you're a Lightning's collector, that this would be a pretty cool card, right? It's super significant time in the franchise history, one of their greatest legendary players, and depicting a great moment and kind of capturing that moment. So I think it would be a very cool card to own. Now the pack odds to pull one of these in 2020-21 the Cup were 1 in 36. Now remember, there's only one pack in a box, so it's basically in 1 in 36 boxes. There are no PSA graded copies of this card that have sold per card ladder. Last raw sale that I could find was $27 US on June 29th. It blows my mind sometimes how there's just really, really nice hockey cards that sell for like nothing.
Yeah.
It's got an auto. The auto's a 10. The grade is a 10 on the card. And it's like Sometimes I think like you could buy a Bedard OPG base rookie and rip it in half and get more than $27 for it.
No kidding.
And here you have this card. I don't. You got a current bid.
$62 US.
All right, you got the next
I do.
modern card.
I do. I went really modern. Kind of little
This is
different.
kind of unlike you. You went,
I don't usually do this.
You went very vanilla. You're the guy
Well-
that you're like the pistachio ice cream guy. You went
Yeah.
vanilla this time.
Well, I saw this. I was like, you know what? I don't remember talking about him a lot. And so kind of curious what his card's doing and what's going on with our boy, Matty Beniers. So it's 22 Upper Deck Young Guns, Matty Beniers, PSA 10. So thought it'd be a good time to check in with our boy and see what's going on. So I'll start with the card. Obviously, it's a PSA 10. But again, as we're learning, seems like every PSA 10 is different. So look at it. If you do look at it, you can see on the top, there looks like there's some stuff. Slight
Little
chipping. I don't know if that's within the standard. But besides that, I mean, this left corner, maybe there's a little thing going on down there. But again, overall, picture looks great. Obviously, it's PSA 10, PSA, blah, 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 blah.
It is a nice Young Guns card. Like,
yeah, it is.
looking
It's
one.
really nice. Young Guns looks good. I like the picture. I don't know. Do we like I don't know what's going on here. The scientific experiment.
It looks like my biology book cover when I was in
Yeah,
college.
that's what I was trying. It's something like biology. So, all right. So card looks nice. Obviously, look at it, zoom in, see what you think. But looking at Beniers, so Beniers won the Calder Rookie of the Year 2023. In his rookie season, he had 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points in 80 games played. This year, our boy took a step back, 15 goals, 22 assists for 37 points, 77 games played. For his
You know, it'd be
career,
a fun research project, but would be a
Ooh.
lot of work
what?
to do like a top 10 list of Calder
Ooh.
winners that had the worst second season.
Ooh, we could do that. That wouldn't be that hard. I'm signing myself up to do something. All right, for his career, he's got 42 goals, 61 assists for 103 points in 167 games played. So our boy Beniers, he had the sophomore slump, and it's like clockwork. I knew this would happen when I started searching for him. There's already the stories out there. Beniers is not taking this summer off. He's going to work hard.
Did he change his diet? Did he hire a chef?
You are too smart, my man.
Yeah.
He has a summer improvement plan that will have him focusing on his shot, being in the right areas to get pucks and more chances, and finally, nutrition is a big key for him. Says he has to get better with nutrition and what he eats.
Was it beer 30 basically all last summer or what?
I don't know. It's kind of amazing to me sometimes these I mean, they're human, right? We're all human, but the pro athlete where your body is like your most important asset. Sometimes it boggles my
Happens
mind.
though. I'm like, where I will defend him a little bit is, what is he, like 20, 21, 22?
Young.
That's the age where all of a sudden you can't have McDonald's 4 times a day.
Yeah, it catches up. You can't have that Hardee's Monster Burger, everyone. But it's like hire a chef then. Or the team should hire chefs. Okay. So we got his sophomore slump. He's got the performance improvement plan. But while his offensive production has definitely dipped, he's still regarded as one of the best shutdown defensive centers in the game. And if you look at the advanced analytics, which everyone loves, Beniers is one of the best centers in the NHL at getting to pucks in the defensive zone and getting pucks out. However, the hobby does not give two hoots about a defensive center. So
I don't even give one hoot.
No. And I found this fun fact on his defensive skill. Over the last 3 years, there have been 27 seasons in which a forward playing top 6 minutes was in the 90th percentile of both exit volume and retrieval volume. Beniers is one of 4 players to do it in 2 seasons. And dang it, he's only played 3, I think. I mean, his first was really short, but 2 full seasons. Barkov, Stone, and Connor McDavid are the others. So there you go.
You know why I got into the hobby, Troy? It's to follow my passion of exit volume and retrieval
Yep,
volume.
zone entries, zone exits. That's why I love hockey cards. So while Beniers obviously has the defensive skill to be an elite 2A player, he definitely needs to up his production, or else we're going to have some of the bust talk start up, even though it's still young. Again, very young. Be his 4th season, 3rd full season. So now
I
looking at
wonder
his
how
card,
much in his head. It's like how much
I'm
of
sure
this is in his head now.
I'm sure, especially when you have moderately successful rookie campaign. Screw that, successful. You won the Calder, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we can talk about how the rookie class was down and all that, but won a Calder trophy, and you're like, all right, this is pretty good. Things are going well, and then boom, sophomore slump. So yeah, mental big part of it as well. So this card, I had no idea where they honestly were selling for, what they were going for. So the PSA 10 pop is 1,349, but the gem rate of 32%. Most recent sale of this card, it's super low. Most recent sales card I could find was on June 14th via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $66.16 US. Oof. In May of 2024, this card bounced all over. This is again where you look at the condition of the card, 60 US to 100. It's a PSA 10. People, it sells all the time. It's a commodity. There's tons of them out there. Now, in December of 2022, this card had sales around $600 US. But remember, Series 1 came out in November of 2022. So it's kind of a recent sale, but you can see it's like Troy and his Kaprizov. Bought for a lot, and now it's kind of hanging out at the bottom.
If you learn nothing from this show, and I wouldn't be surprised because we're idiots, but if you learn nothing from this show, do not ever buy one of the first PSA 10s of a base Young Guns where there will be thousands of them very, very soon.
Yep.
You will pay an absurd amount and you will lose all of your money 100% of the time.
Yep. So there it is. Current bid is $60 US.
All right. There's our Matty Benier pulse checks.
I'm excited for this next one. I am excited for this one.
Really? Yeah, this one's weird.
Yeah, that's why.
06. SP Game used rookie auto exclusive Sidney Crosby out of 100 PSA 10. The auto's not graded. Have we seen this card before?
I don't. Is that no? That's a sticker auto, right? Yeah, that's a sticker.
It is a sticker auto. Yeah. Okay, I have so many comments, and I want to a number of questions I want to run through. Number one, do you like, in any case, Upper Deck using the term exclusives outside of a Young Gun or other cards, or should that solely be reserved for just the Young Guns card?
I personally would like it to be reserved just for the Young Guns. However, they can do what they want, but I would try to give it, I would want the exclusives name to have a little more exclusivity and stay with the Young Guns.
Oh, that very crafty.
Like that.
Troy. I love your response. I agree with you 104%.
Sweet.
Now, one caveat to that is I don't know if were they doing Young Guns exclusives when this came out. Maybe this is like a predecessor to that, but still, it just made me think of that, and I think it should only be for Young Guns personally. Now, this 2005 SP Game Use design is pretty, not just for this auto card, but because of Crosby and Ovechkin, it's been reused in tributes. I've never been able to make up my mind. It's like very like futuristically, or it looks like an automatic watch, or how do we describe what's
like gears? It's kind of like gears without the, I don't know what the name of them, the little ticks at the end.
Very unique, right?
Yeah.
You like it or not?
I'm really indifferent on it. Like I don't love it and I don't hate it. So I'm like right in the middle.
The card is horizontal. It features an image of Crosby from what looks like the draft or rookie photo shoot. Now in his right hand, he's holding 3 pucks, and then in his left hand, he's got the number 1 sign up. But you think Photoshop? I don't know.
Yeah, Photoshop not a thing back then.
Well, I think what he's doing is he's like saying like, look at this cool trick, and oh, by the way, I was the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, how hard does that mean he has huge hands? Have you ever tried to put 3 whole hockey pucks like that in your hand?
It doesn't seem like it'd be hard.
I think they're bigger than you think. Like,
well, hockey pucks are rubber. They got that rubber on the ends that kind of
you can't make them smaller.
This is easy.
You got to try it when you're at practice. Get all the Minnetonka girls up. Everyone pulled 3 pucks in one hand. I don't know. I think it's impressive.
Yeah, it might be hard.
You mentioned the auto sticker, but it's a very nice auto though. Very deep colored. Yeah. It doesn't have any streaks in it or anything.
No, it's really nice.
Like that. Probably should have got the auto graded in this case. Has not faded at all in the last 19 years. Gosh, time flies, dude. A PSA 10 copy of this card is never sold. A PSA 9 did sell in November of 2022 for $1,500 US. Now, the all-time sale for any copy of this card is the BGS 9.510, sold for $4,450 US in February of 2022. You got a current bid?
$1,525 US. I failed miserably looking up bids. I had to look them up on the show.
Well, that's all right. And half. Okay, time for personal pickups. What do you got?
For the first time. Now, do you have any? You don't have
No,
any
I
on the
don't.
list. This might be the first time ever. No, it's probably not, but first time ever I have some and Josh does not. But so here's my first one. I talked about it on the show, right? And I put my money where my mouth is. It was in the PWCC. It's the Bowman Tiffany Mike Modano rookie PSA 8. It's coming immediately out of this stupid slab. I am not keeping it in there. And then, so that was my first card.
I love Tiffany cards, so I'm kind of jealous. It looks really cool. What did you pay for that?
$19.
Ooh, big spender try.
And then second one for $7 was this Pierre-Marc Bouchard Artistic Impressions card. Usually I wouldn't go after like a card like this without an auto, but I thought this is unique and I've never seen it, so might as well. It's coming out of the slab too.
We used to appreciate PMB.
Yeah. He was just so, he was like Bedard. Listen, take that back. His size, he was tiny, like a little tiny guy out there, and he used to get just.
Can't wait to clip that.
No, he was not Bedard skill wise.
No, that part isn't getting clipped.
Size wise, he was.
Gonna run this into the ground forever and ever and ever. I remember though, like when he was on the team when we had tickets, and he's the only guy that the Wild had that could like stick handle and hold the puck in the offensive zone, because that was firmly in the Jacques Lemaire dump and chase era.
Neutral zone trap,
neutral zone trap, dump and chase. So I used to like watching PMB play, but I wouldn't say he's like Connor Bedard. All right, Troy, that's our show. If you like the episode, please leave a rating, review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, you want to chat with us every day in the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, we'd ask you to consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description, on the podcast apps and YouTube as well, within our Instagram and TikTok profile. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the link, or go to the Patreon website directly and search for us there. We're on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dogbox Ventures, LLC. Have an awesome 4th of July. Happy Canada Day. It was a few days ago. Everyone there, and we'll chat with you all on Monday.